welcome back to the Dating Coach panel. We believe the best game is the game that works for you and aligns with your lifestyle. So we have a variety of dating coaches so we can understand things from more angles. Super chats, drop a super chat to ask a question. Questions for all panelists are prioritized $5 USD or more, increasing as we go on. Check the chat for details. So we're doing our theme today is the young panel. So what's up, you skibbity riz motherfuckers? Where are you joining us from today? Jordan, where are you joining us from?
I am out in beautiful sunny Scottsdale, Arizona right now.
Fucking looks like it with all that dark shit in the background. You ever heard of Windows?
Yeah. They're all over there.
Huh.
God damn it. And Jesse, where are you calling in from?
So Brian and I are in Mexico City. We're just in Scottsdale, dude. I think your face looks familiar, Jordan. Might have seen you out there.
Really?
Yeah.
It's quite possible. I mean, I go out a decent amount. So yeah, if you're ever out in the city, do drop me a line on Instagram.
What are your stomping grounds out there?
So personally, I really love more of the rooftops, or I think that like boondocks, if anybody's ever in Scottsdale, it's kind of a more outdoor, like divey, but all the hot girls still go there, or like Wasted Grain. Those are my favorites. How about you?
Yeah, no, Boondocks is sick. I know Brandon loves Boondocks.
Yeah, I love that spot.
I definitely love the clubs out there. The clubs are fucking sick. Yeah. Fucking
Already, Brandon, where are you calling from?
I am in the other room from Jesse, so I am also Mexico City.
Mexico City, but the other room. Perfect. The walls
Yes,
are
sir.
fucking same. Devin, where are you calling in from?
Right now, I'm calling in from the city of Sin. I'm on the run from the Canadian snow, so might have to extend my stay. And actually, I was thinking about driving over to Arizona because I've heard nonstop good things about Scottsdale
Dude,
from
do
people
it.
here. They're like, hey, you know what? It's hard to be in a bad mood when you're staring at a palm tree and the beautiful weather. So
Don't forget the
Absolutely.
blondes.
that too. Yeah, lots of blonde hair, blue-eyed girls there for sure. No shortage of them.
Alrighty, speaking of blonde hair and blue eyes, we got Phil. Where are you calling in from?
What's up, gentlemen? Yes, the Latinas love me, and I'm in Playa del Carmen, Mexico right now.
We got too many Mexicans. What's worse than a German national in Mexico?
A Canadian in Mexico.
No.
Or
Maybe a German national in Argentina.
yeah, I mean, I'm only into the Argentinian girls, if you ask me. I'm not too much into the Mexican girls.
It's
The looking
What?
ones.
it's been 80 years now since the war, so I think those jokes don't work so well anymore. Anyway, let's fucking continue. So that's pretty cool. We got free guys in Mexico. All of us are, yeah, you're all in the same kind of geographical area. If we really think about it, you're just stretching from Nevada to Arizona to Mexico City to Playa del Carmen. That's a pretty small area. That's all desert type shit. I'm also in a desert, but way further south here in Lima. But interestingly, I got a great question lined up for, which makes a lot of sense for this lineup, baby. What's your take on the passport bros thing?
Cool. Where do we start? Where do we begin? I think a lot of guys, they think that they can just walk off a plane and they'll have girls lining up for them left, right, and center just because they move locations. But I think it's actually more beneficial to build those skills when it's harder to go to places like a Toronto or other places, in North America, so that the skill is there, so it only gets easier versus build the skill when it's easier and going to a place where it's on paper harder, right? It's not a magical solution.
Yeah,
I
think
mean, my take on it is like when you bring that girl back to the US, she becomes an American girl and she's going to have all the same problems as American girls. So either you have to be willing to commit to completely leaving the West, which I don't know about you guys. I love the West. I would consider Mexico is like getting pretty Western. It's still a little bit more traditional than America, but like I'm not willing to give up where I live for some pussy. So for me, that means, okay, cool. We have to learn the skill set to make it work anywhere.
I think you're a fucking loser if your passport Everybody fucking loser. That's what we're on. For the same reasons everybody mentioned. I think it's easier. I think it's easier to escape your difficulties rather than face them. And so if you're not willing to face like, oh shit, I suck at cold approach in a Western state, it's just not, you're going to face, it's probably going to spill into other areas of your life. So you might as well attack it.
And
Yeah,
just
100%.
for
Man, the passport bros, I don't know what's going on with these guys, but if you can't get laid in your own city, they are in your own country, then what are you doing anyways? You know, and all these guys, they think they move abroad to Thailand, to Colombia, or whatever, but they're still a beta male with a shitty body language. You know, you can hear in the voice and tonality that they don't have any good game. And then they get with one girl, and then they come back and, hey, it was so great in Colombia, it was so easy to get laid and all that shit. And in reality, what's happening is that they then maybe get with one girl and she's losing respect for them sooner or later anyways. And like, how stupid is that to move to another country, to wife a girl up and bring her back to the States or to Europe? I got laced most of the time in Europe without any problems. And no matter where you go, the hottest girls are going to be hard to get anyways. So you have to learn game where you're at and where you're starting. That's
Yeah,
my
dude. I think guys are going to go to these countries and they think they're going to find a princess. They're actually finding a girl that's absolutely fucking ran through. Like, she's getting passed around by so many different guys. And if you're looking for casual sex, that's great. But a lot of guys are preaching submissive girl who's going to do all the shit for you. It's like, dude, you're not the first fucking guy from the Western country she fucked. I can promise you that.
And show me
It's actually a
one
great
girl.
take.
Yeah, show me one girl that's not gonna be feminine if you're a masculine guy. I never had a problem with a woman. Oh, I'm a feminist. I'm, you know, like if you're a masculine, if you're dominant, if you're kind of aggressive and confident in your masculinity, no woman will ever like challenge you with feminist shit test. Like seriously.
It definitely does help to learn about different cultures and learn about different areas and build that skill where it's just like, okay, you can kind of be versed in meeting girls from different cultures and ethnic backgrounds so you can carry those conversations. But it's not a magical solution. You know, like a lot of these guys said, it's like, yeah, you can't polish a turd. Right?
Dude, guys,
It's like,
I'm part of this Passport Bros group, and there's this dude in there. He's a retired NYPD cop. All
Oh,
right,
no.
dude, he's like 45. All he posts every fucking week is him in a new country with a new prostitute. It's actually the funniest fucking thing. People like, he's like legendary in these groups. Every week, new prostitute, fucking BBL. It's just like, it's kind of sad. It really is.
It's
So I
like
actually got
when you
into this
say like
argument with my dad too, because he's a doc and he was telling me like, oh yeah, my rich patients are just moving to Thailand and they're getting all these beautiful submissive women, and I'm like, no, dude, they're not. Like Brandon said, they're getting hoes, or they're getting the girl who doesn't like him for him. She likes him because he has that big American paycheck and she wants a green card. So it's like, if you can't figure out how to actually create attraction anywhere in the US, women are a lot more similar in all these different cultures than they are different. So you need to learn the skill set.
Oh, that's a great point there, Justin. So, what I'm drawing off of that is if you get no game in the country you're coming from, you're going to have no game in separating the wrong women from the right women in the whatever country you're going to. Those who want you because you're a tourist flashing money around, and those who want you because you're a good person and whatever else is good about you. So, I remember I was on a podcast 2 years ago, and I was asked. Let's say I win $100 million in the lottery, and how do I make sure that I can't remember what the question was exactly. How can I use it to attract more women or something like that? I was like, if I'm using money to attract women, I'm using money to attract the wrong type of women. I'm just attracting the wrong type of person. So if you have no game in the country you're coming from, you're going to have no game separating the women, the bad women from the good ones in wherever the fuck you're going.
I think it's all about like the intention. Like, why are you going to that country? Is it because you like Latinas and there's really like no Latinas in the area that you're in? Or is it because it's like, hey, I think it's that magical solution that once I move there, the girls will just line up for me. And, you know, it's all about that too. Right. And yeah, if you lead with your wallet, like I talk to guys all the time that are just like, oh, I rented out a Lamborghini. I put on a suit. Like, where should I take this girl for the first date? And it's like, you lead with your wallet. It's like you toss out different kinds of bait and you attract certain kinds of girls. And they think, a lot of guys think that it's just like, oh yeah, if I make all this money, then the girls will just come to me. But whether, like the way I see it, whether you're homeless and living under a bridge or you're a successful billionaire, it's like you shouldn't be taking girls on these first dates where you're, taking them on private jets and leading your wallet with your wallet.
That's funny because
Yeah.
there are a lot of guys on the internet who say women are only attracted to money. That's true to you because they're not attracted to you. They're attracted to your money because that's all you know. You don't know how to attract women another way. So that is your reality of things. Any other comments on this?
Yeah, every girl that's fucked a guy with a Lambo because of all those things, she's also fucked a guy with negative $20 in his bank account and a mattress on his floor. I promise you that. Because the way he made her feel, right? Girls are attracted to certain different things. Now, of course, there's gold diggers and stuff, but I think guys underestimate social skills, flirting, all those things is a huge, huge DHV to certain women.
That's so true. How you make them feel. Because a lot of guys, I think it's like they walk up to a girl and they think that girls can just smell their net worth on them. They think that if they don't have the money, it's like, oh yeah, girls will sense it from a mile away. But it is so not the case. Like I know
It's really
guys
just all
that
how you make her feel at the end of the day.
how you make her feel, yeah.
I can only tell you guys, I got laid the most when I was working as a club and party promoter in Spain or in Bulgaria. And I worked 2 years in Spain and 1 year in Bulgaria. And in the first season, I was still figuring out like how to talk to girls, how to do it. I was around like 24, 25. And I didn't make any money because I wasn't good at sales. And I was also still like kind of figuring out the flirting and all that. And then once I got good at it, better at selling, better at flirting, that's when I got laid a lot. But I still didn't have like a lot of money in my bank account or whatever, right? Because either I made the money, like a couple $100 a day, and then spend it all and didn't have any money. But the number of approaches and how you talk to the girl and how they relate to you and the connection you build, and if you're having that vibe and that energy around you that you don't even care if she's there or not, or if she's gonna fuck you or not, then that's what the girls really get attracted to.
It's also too, I think the profession as well too. Like I think a girl, what's more appealing is like the firefighter versus like the IT manager, right? And there's a massive difference in how much money those two make. And I'm just throwing out examples off the top of my head, right? But it's more so the lifestyle that you provide and the kind of mystique around the job itself, right? It's like how you present it, right? Like if you work at McDonald's, you can either say it's like, oh yeah, like I work at McDonald's and unconfidently look aware. It's like you could say like I'm a gourmet chef at a multi-billion-dollar franchise, right? Like it's all in how you
I'm a sandwich artist.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, exactly. It's all in how you sell it, right? And how you're saying it, because women have way more ability to read social skills than the average guy.
Ooh, this is a
100%.
tangent, but this is something I'm really curious with the rest of the panel. So as coaches, what do you guys usually tell women that you actually do for a living? Do you guys tell them straight up? Do you wait for a little while to reveal it, or what's your strategy there?
You have to be straight up. You have to, especially if you have like, she's gonna see your content eventually.
Yeah.
I'm guessing some of you learned the hard way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, Jordan laughed at that. I want to
Absolutely.
actually hear from Jordan. Did you have that happen to you? I've had that happen to me before.
I mean, I hadn't been posting as much dating content. I was working for Sartain, so I was able to get away with just like having my normal Instagram profile and then just coaching through him. But now that I'm coaching on my own, I'm definitely a lot more proactive. And because I used to say, oh yeah, I teach guys social skills, which is still kind of how I frame it. But I mean, I am a little bit more just forthcoming. Like, yeah, I'm a dating coach now.
And like, look, baby, you see those guys over there? I'm teaching you how to pull that bitch over there. Yeah, let them know. So.
I always tell them I'm unemployed. I sometimes withhold my TikTok handle or Instagram handle. And if they ask me how old are you, I either say 14 or 45. depending on how long my beard is, and they don't even care, man. It's ridiculous.
Okay,
Like,
that's actually a great point.
yeah,
No,
that's
like being flirty and playful the first couple of times, because like the first time that she asks, yeah, I'm a disposable lighter repairman. I help
That's
homeless
hilarious.
people find shoes, like whatever, just make some shit up, and that's actually a great way to flirt. But yeah, eventually you have to be like, okay, this is what I actually do, because they'll get frustrated after about three,
try
four
this
times.
out. Try
Yeah.
this out with one girl when you bang her a few times, just withholding some information until really late in the relationship. They freak out about it. I'm telling you. They're like, tell me what's your Instagram? Oh, how old are you? You banged her like 20 times. She doesn't even know how old you are. And they love it. It gives it's like a mind fuck for them. And I don't know what happens, but I just, if the situation appears, then I'm just doing it. And the girls love it.
And that's the thing. Too many guys go on these first dates and they're giving them the whole life story. They're talking nonstop about themselves. And the girl either feels like a therapist because he's bringing up all this baggage, or she feels like the guy's just like trying to impress her and trying to win her over. And by the end of the day, the girl knows everything about the guy. There's no intrigue. There's no mystery there. And then it's just like, okay, well, I kind of know this guy's whole life story. Like, why would I really want to go on a second date with him, right? Where it's like, if you can leave that mystery, it's like, okay, yeah, I want to learn more about him. I don't even know this, and this about him.
Yeah, I think most guys just try to like comfort bomb girls. So they just, yeah, this is who I am. This is what I do. Like exactly what you were saying,
Mm.
where they think that if they just divulge as much as possible, because as men, we see a resume and we're like, oh, that guy is worthy of respect. That guy's accomplished things. And as women, they kind of like to have that puzzle to put together. They want to feel like they've worked to figure you the fuck out.
Before I was married, the funny thing is I'm married now. I've been married for more than 5 years, and I'm the emperor of the pickup artist community. It's like, how the fuck do you explain that? You're a married man, but you're running all these PUA things. It like doesn't make sense in some way. But what I like to say is I've been on a journey, and I was part of that at some point before. But back then, it was like I just had a normal job, so I wasn't like a dating coach or anything. But I was doing a bit of stuff on the side and whatever. I just saw it as a hobby, basically. But I just didn't give a shit because I was posting things on my Facebook, my Instagram, and everything was public. There was no private Instagram account or anything like that. It wasn't friends only photos, it was public photos. So any woman can just see my Facebook profile or my Instagram profile and see every week just photos of me on a date with someone. It's not like super obvious necessarily, but it could be, for example, if there's an Instagram story from 2018, it could be I have some pancakes on a table and then there's a second plate in the background and you can see some nice female hands with long painted nails and shit like that. Obviously, I'm not with a man or I'm not on my own. So seeing this on a week-to-week basis, where it's like, oh, that's a different woman, different fingers this time, or different subtleties, different situations. It's not something that I said or didn't say. It's just you could see it, and some women would just like be like, what's going on here? Are you going on dates and stuff like that? And then that would lead to more dates. So it's just this funny thing where a lot of guys really don't have to be fucking scared and hide themselves, because once you're actually doing something with good intentions and very open about it and laid back and don't feel the need to explain it like at any point, but it's just your thing, that's all good. Any
There's-
ever
Yeah,
go ahead.
there's two great points that I took from that. One is that women are very good at reading the subtle details, right? Like all too often you'll see guys post photos of them with girls and the guy just looks like he's in heaven, like he's head over heels with them, and the girls kind of look like checked out, not really like too hyped up about being there with them. They kind of look bored, disinterested, where it's like it's the subtle things, like with what you just said, where it's like a plate of food across the table from the guy, where it's just like the fingernail in the photo, right? That mysterious, oh, wait, so he's out with the girl, right? So girls can pick up on this shit, right? And the second thing is just owning it, right? And not trying to defend yourself. You're like, yeah, that's just the way it is. And you're communicating that if you don't like it, you can leave, you can walk. You have to be willing to lose some in the process, right? The second you start getting defensive, oh, but it was only just this, and this. It's like, okay, you've already lost, right? You just have to be unapologetically yourself. And if she likes it, cool. If not, there's 3.5 billion other girls out there,
Yeah.
right? That's one.
Some might
The
be
number
above
of
the age of
times that I've
60,
caught
but you know,
flack for earrings and bras and stuff, and I'm just like, oh yeah, red is my color, and then just roll on with it.
what are
Start
these hair
defending it.
clips doing in your room? And you know, all that leftover. I had
It's
fucking
long,
hair
luscious
dye,
locks ice. What do you
asthma
mean?
pumps,
You
and all
haven't
that
seen it?
shit.
Yeah.
What are you doing with hair dye? You don't dye your, yeah, I know. Someone just fucking left it here. And I just like, I just put it up there as a fucking trophy. Not as a trophy, but I don't know what to do with it. I'm not gonna waste it. If a
Tell them
woman
you're
comes
dyeing your thick
over and she
hair.
wants to use it and dye her hair blonde,
Okay,
fucking
this
go
is like
for it. I'll
some
help you.
unknown game that I want to like put everybody onto real quick. So I heard the term basically like a comfort palace. So like turning your place into a comfort palace. You have like all the shit women could ever want and need. Like there's
The
literally
pimp
no reason
pad.
to ever have to leave. So like the micellar water and the makeup wipes and like everything, pads, tampons, snacks, like nice glassware, just like your entire house is just like she gets there and she's like, oh my God, I love it here. And then she never wants to leave and their friends want to come. That is probably some of the best game I've ever gotten is just set your
My
place up right.
present is the
Let's
law.
talk about that. That is
So, yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah. So I'm actually curious about that. Like if you're a single guy living by yourself and a girl goes to the bathroom and she sees that you got tampons there, how do you kind of explain that? Or like what do you say? What's the go-to response for that?
So I do actually run a fair amount of
For
social circle game.
nosebleeds.
So I pretty
No,
consistently like
please go on.
have women around who are both girls that I'm seeing and girls that I'm not seeing. So that's kind of the easy explanation for me too. And especially on like my personal page, I have some some not so subtle pre-selection. Compliance is huge on those. Like you were saying, Devin, like when the girls don't look like they're having a good time, those photos actually hurt you guys. So like be careful with them. But if they're good, they're great. But anyways, like I have a lot of that evidence and it's very clear that like, okay, this is a guy with women in his life. And so that conversation almost never happens because like she's usually figured out that like I'm a whore long before then. And it's just the way it is.
I think they know in the first 5 seconds of talking to you what kind of guy you are. It doesn't even matter to them, like what you say or all that stuff. I think they just get your energy and make a decision if they're going to sleep with you in like 3 seconds. And that's what most guys understand. They're just like so weird, and when they talk, the nervous laugh, the filling words, when they stand too close to the girl, when they're approaching him, or when they look in approval or leaning into the girl. I think these are all the things that women just like pick up on and then instinctively decide if they're going to sleep with you or not. And that's the thing, right? So to come back to your question, I just have my condoms right next to my bed or right next to my safe. And when the girl goes on the bathroom, she sees like these 100 Playboy condoms. And she know what's up, right? But also I never even care if I'm going to sleep with a girl or not. At no point in the interaction, I just don't care. When I approach her, when I go home with her, if I don't sleep with her that night, I want to, but I don't care if it doesn't happen, then I just whatever jerk off or or just meet another girl. If you have that abundance mindset, you have that skill of meeting your woman, and then you decide that you're never gonna care if you're actually gonna sleep with her, then the girls want to sleep with you much quicker.
Yeah,
I would agree
I
with
keep
the outcome independence there. One thing I do want to adjust slightly is I don't think a girl decides if she will sleep with you within 3 seconds. I just think she decides if she won't. So like I do think it takes a little bit of time. It's not long, but girls do take a little bit of time to deliberate on whether she will, and she likes that to be kind of a mystery. But whether she won't, like if she picks up any of those signs you were talking about, like the nervousness, the neediness, like any of that shit, it's just like boom, you're out. That's the only thing I would change about that.
And I think a lot of that comes from just being so like outcome oriented, right? Like we all know the guy that comes up to us with the clipboard or the car salesman that's just like not really listening to what you're saying. He's just so focused on selling, selling, selling. I got to make the sale. He's not even listening to what you're saying. He's just thinking, okay, like how can I fucking sell this guy? How can I make him buy my product or service? Right? Where you just have that energy where it's just like, yeah, I don't really care. I'm the one who wants to get to know you here. I'm trying to see if I like you, if you even qualify to me. I'm not sold on you yet.
Let's
I
go
think a
back
lot of
into
Go
the setup, the pimp pad, the pussy palace. What did you call it, Jordan? The something palace?
The comfort palace. Yeah.
Comfort palace. Yeah, so for example, I'm gonna drop something in the chat on YouTube for you guys who are watching. Is a blog post I released only a few weeks ago where I used to be part of a game house, and it's just like Project Hollywood basically. In that blog post, I write about my comfort palace in my room basically. When I first moved in, I was just starting out at university, and like the first social event there was like drinks with like the lecturers and stuff like that. They had dozens of bottles of wine, and at my university, because I did social science, it was mostly women who were in the classes, so it was this crazy ratio. There were times when like I would sit in the lecture, the woman in front of me, and then the woman in front of her, and the woman in front of her, and the woman next to me, I all slept with. So it was a great social circle ground. But back to the point. At this first event, I said to a few of the people there, you see those bottles over there? Smuggle them into my bag. We're gonna get out of here and have an after party at my place. And I just like moved to the city and everything. So we smuggled all these fucking bottles of wine and all these other things to my place. And then that's where I started this bar in my room. And it wasn't really a bar, it was just a table with alcohol bottles on it and energy drinks and stuff like that. So it was like if she, I heard dating advice before where it's like if she's tired, I remember RSD Julian used to talk about this. If she's tired, have a Red Bull at your place and just fucking give her one of those. No excuse to let her be tired and stuff like that. So I would just have like everything there, not necessarily tampons and whatever, but the wine is there, the rum is there, the vodka is there, shots is there, everything. And I had postcards on the wall. I had crazy lights that go different colors, postcards from
Big one.
Cities I traveled to. And I had a balcony. And then over time, I covered the concrete with like towels to make it look like a red carpet. And I had a table and beanbags there. I pimped it the fuck out. And it became so much more interactive and interesting. So I recommend checking out that link I put in the chat. But for the rest of you guys, what are the similar things that you have done to create your comfort palace?
You go in there. This is the thing. I will disagree that you need one. What'd you call it? The comfort what?
Comfort
You don't
palace is what
need
Jordan
one,
said.
whatever you guys want to call it, but I do think it helps. And like, any of those things that you were just talking about, any of those can now be set up to be a seed for a pull. It's like, oh, you like vodka? Oh, I have this great bottle of vodka. Oh, you like wine? Oh, I have this crazy bottle of wine from such and such a place. Oh, you should come check out the view on the balcony. Oh, yeah, I have all the postcards from the place. Oh, yeah, you should come check that out later. It's
You
like
go in on that.
each and every one of these little things becomes a reasonable excuse for her to come back with you and not feel slutty about it.
I don't
So
even think you need to come back with you. You just tell her, yo, let's go back to my place. If you're doing everything right.
Oh yeah. It's like either way, because I never made it about, yeah, come check out my postcards or my balcony or like having pre-drinks at my place. That's probably the closest it got to like using it as a reason to go back. But it's like it's not a requirement. It's just something interesting that kind of makes it all cool and everything like that. But the other part is like, wouldn't it be creepy if you were taking photos in your bedroom of like the women who were in there? Unless you're just making videos of like interacting with the lights and all that shit. It's like everyone's just happy with that. So it's a neat little difference that maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I
I
think the
think
comfort.
I don't know. I like seeding the poll, honestly. I do that on pretty much every date, every poll. Like, I'm giving her a reason. We both know that we're going back to like do our thing, but from what I've seen, it tends to just go over a little bit smoother. And I recommend, especially as guys are learning, she knows why she's going back to your place, but if you just give her that little excuse to latch onto, then it does make things a lot easier.
Yeah.
And sometimes
For
guys
beginners, yeah. For beginners, it really helps if you have kind of a nice place or whatever you have, right? So you take pictures and videos of your place or where you're going. And then in the interaction, you just show the girl, hey, by the way, this is where we're going today. Look, this is what I have at my place, right? And then you can use it later to seed the pool and to tell the girl, hey, look, this is what I have. I have this pool. I have this whatever you have, right? It can be anything. I have a cat. I had a
I want to see a BDSM version of this. Hey, look at this this torture machine that I have. Look at my sex dungeon.
Hey, look at my
I
CD.
I also think guys need to be prepared for the question, because if a guy just says, "Yeah, let's go back to my place," then sometimes a girl will be like, "Why?" And then the guy gets all nervous and shit. Well, you know, like, right? So it does help to have that kind of, well, we can go check out this, or you said you like Harry Potter, we can go watch Prisoner of Azkaban, right? Or whatever it is.
Let me phrase that real quick, because I think everybody, I'm like such a devil's advocate against that, because if you're doing everything right, like the way, well, at least the way I teach it, everybody's different, but the girl's escalating on you, the girl's closing you. You get what I'm saying? And so by the time you spit that idea, if you're doing everything right, you're flirting zone, right? You're the man, just saying it, she's not going to say no. It's like it's extremely rare she says no. You know what I'm saying?
She's not coming over to check out your pussy. She's coming over for you to check her pussy.
Yeah.
I also think
So
another-
I will say, if she's escalating hard on you 100%, I think a lot of guys just struggle with escalation in general. Either way will work, right? Like, as long as, again, if she's escalating on you, if she clearly wants to fuck you, then like, yeah, just say, let's go back to my place. Like, you don't need to set extra steps. But at the same time, it's like, all right, well, if you guys are not at that point yet, then cool. Give her the excuse, put that extra little step in there, and it'll go smoother. And then once you are at that point, you have enough reference experience to have her escalating on you, then yeah, dude, let's go back to mine.
No, it's funny because I think of this. I dated quite a lot of Japanese women when I was living in London, and you'll just find all kinds of people from everywhere. And there was this one particular woman who she came to my place eventually, but the first night we met, I wanted to pull her home, and she was like she was like the most awkward type of Japanese person you could imagine, and Japanese people can be pretty awkward. So it was like, I imagine if I went back in time, I could probably say something like, let's go back to my place so we can play with a Tamagotchi or some shit. Otherwise, it's just for some women like that who are just like so linear. It can be quite a different case. But anyway, I think we kind of covered this.
I just thought of this one example. Jesse actually has a good example too. I remember when a girl actually tried that on me, where it was like, she said that we were going to go back to her place and watch some show on TV, right? And this was back in the college days. And this was when I was so like not well versed in this stuff, where it's like I went to her room and she didn't even have a TV. Right? She
has scammed me. Oh my God.
I looked at, there's no TV. She didn't have a laptop. I was like, well, how are we going to watch the show? Like, I literally said that. I was, oh, then it hit me. Right?
If you do everything right, the girl will make the move on you, right? Every time I go on a date and shit, and then the girl's like, do you want to grab another drink? I have alcohol at my house. She's closing me, and I'm like, yeah, sure, let's do it. So I'm saying, if you do everything right, you don't need plausible deniability, because she wants you just as much as you want her. You get what I'm saying? And so I think the real solution is teaching guys to have girls want them as much every single time and be in control of getting that outcome. So I think that's the real solution to all this.
I think another important point to add too is that, yeah, you don't have to go as far as like having tampons and, you know, all this stuff prepared. But I think a lot of guys go out with the mentality of, oh, I'm not even going to bring home a girl anyway, so I can just kind of, you know, go out and whatever. And then, you know, they bring back the girl and they're running around their house like a chicken with their head cut off, trying to like, you know, organize their bathroom and put their clothes away. It's like, be prepared to bring the girl back, you know, make sure to scrub the shit streaks in your toilet and do all that stuff so that a girl comes back to your place, because she's going to look in the cabinets when she's in the bathroom. She's going to try to gather all the intel about you as much as she can. Right. So just make sure it's like, yeah, you're prepared to succeed if you do bring a girl back.
So I do want to go back to this a little bit too. So do you ever run into issues with girls who are a little bit less sexually liberal, a little bit less sexually open, who don't think, oh my God, immediately I'm going to fuck this guy? Because what I've noticed is like most girls are very down to hook up on the first date. It's not a problem at all. But there are certain girls who prefer a little bit of subtlety and tact. And so I'm very much a probabilities guy. I know I'm not going to lose any of the girls who are down to fuck me by being a little bit more subtle, but I will lose some of those more conservative, more, well, again, just girls who are not quite so blatant with it by being blatant myself. So if I'm not going to lose any by seeding the pool, to me, it's like, why the fuck wouldn't I do it? It costs me nothing, really. It costs me absolutely nothing. But if I don't do it, there is a probability that I lose one or two. So why the fuck not?
I had periods in my game where I was just trying to pull girls within 15 minutes, and I swear it works. I don't know. There was this one
Is this
guy.
is this at the club or is this at during the daytime? Like I'm assuming night game, right? Or are you doing that
Yeah,
during?
I did it from all kind of scenarios. For example, on a date, like you meet the girl, and there was this one girl in Frankfurt. I met her in the city center, and then I'm like, do you want to have wine or do you want to have this? And then I'm like, yeah, let's have wine. And then I just went with her directly to my place, but it was a little bit too quick for her. But you can pull, but doesn't mean you get late. But it also happened where I was just like, when you repeatedly ask the girl to come home with you and frame it in a way after she's attracted to you and she's down, it works. And it so many times that I pulled girls within under 30 minutes, especially when I was working as a party promoter and stuff. So it really comes down to like doing a lot of approaches. And once you experience in game, you can read all her IOIs, right? You know exactly like what are the subtle body language things that she's doing. For example, when girls do like this, or when this energy flows through them, and like their pussy's a little bit squeezing and itching, and she already wants you, and then that she wants to bang you, and it happens really quickly in the conversation. Then you just have to figure out the logistics, and then you can take her home really quickly.
I think a great takeaway point from that is being willing to take a risk. Because I think,
Yeah.
I don't know, I wasn't naturally like this. I had to build these skills, right? I was very like nervous and stuff in high school, but I would always sit there on the date, like just so scared to like, oh, let's go back to my place. And I'd sit there at the bar for like 3 hours. The girl would be, well, I got to go wake up early tomorrow. And I'd just be sitting there like, fuck. And I still talk to guys who are on that same wavelength where it's just like, yeah, I went to a bar with a girl and, we were having drinks. Everything was going great. We were there for like 5 hours, but she didn't invite herself over to my place or she didn't invite me to come back to her place. And I didn't really know where to take it, right? And they're too reliant on the girl making the move. So it's just like, just being able to just take that risk, lead the conversation or lead the interaction somewhere as opposed to just sitting there and just, staying idle is so important, right? Leadership and taking it somewhere.
The best example of this is when you're watching a movie and you do the move. If you ever watched Cheaper by the Dozen too, I think it was, they got like a whole fucking scene sketch for that. It's hilarious, where these teenagers are going on a date and the two dads are spying on them. Oh, he's about to do the move. I've been on. We had those times maybe as teenagers, for example, when we had this girl over or like, wherever we were watching a movie and we wanted to make the move, but we were like, I got the timing right because, now everyone's crying in the scene. It's a set. So there's murder going on. It's not a good time to put my arm around her and shit like that. You just go in your head too much, but absolutely, you have to take the fucking risk. Otherwise, you're risking everything by just not doing anything. So, absolutely, I made a video about like that exact point before what you're saying: leadership, risk, that kind of thing. Absolutely.
Yeah, but also if you think about it, right? So like, asking for the number is fear of rejection. Or if you don't do it, you don't want to get rejected. That's why you kind of play it safe. When you're texting the girl, you don't want to ask her out because you could get rejected. When you're touching the girl, you could get rejected, right? So like there is this underlying fear of rejection, and it occurs at different times in the interaction. And that's the problem what guys are so afraid of, right? So you just have to, that's why you also have to do so many approaches in the beginning to just do all the mistakes or miss out on the opportunities that you could have had. I'm pretty sure that all of you guys had so many girls looking backwards where you're like, oh shit, man, with this girl, I should have made the move and I would have gotten her, right? And that's the fear of rejection where guys always like pussy out. And then they just had to do it or just escalate in the set instead of on the date, because if you can get a girl on a date, but it's a friend zone date, and you're definitely not getting laid if you don't touch her. I always say escalate in the first 30 seconds of the interaction, and you will save a lot of time and trouble, right?
Well, here's the good news too, is like guys stress out, and I think that they think everything has to be perfect. It's like you can fuck up at any one of these stages, and one little mistake is not going to ruin things. Like you can go for a kiss, and oh my god, maybe you went too early, and maybe she didn't want to kiss you. But if she's still hanging out with you, after you're the guy who tried to kiss you, guess what that means? She's okay with you trying to kiss her, and you can do it again later. So like it's totally okay. It's better to just take the risk and maybe 1 out of 10 times fail than to never take the risk, because otherwise you're rejecting yourself. But if you make a mistake, girls are pretty forgiving generally, as long as it's not too many of them.
That's a
Dude, the
great
biggest
point.
the biggest mistake I see with guys who are intermediates is not actually playing to win. They go out, they try to get a lot of phone numbers and stuff. Dude, when me and Jesse go out, I'm not kidding, this is what we do. We get to the venue, I look for the hottest girl, we approach, we lock in, and we try our absolute fucking hardest to pull that set, which we most likely will. A lot of guys are like, I'm gonna get the number, I'm gonna kind of finagle around it. A lot of guys get stuck in that zone of collecting phone numbers, never actually making the fucking pull happen. It's like you have to be willing to play to win to push your boundaries. I was actually teaching our one of our assistant coaches that we pulled a two set from New York City. It was like 4:30 a.m. on Christmas Eve. I'm not fucking kidding. We got back to his house. He had no booze. The girl's like, we kind of want to go home, right? I went down the street. I knocked on a random person's fucking house and I bought a bottle of tequila off this guy at 5 a.m. and I fucking made the pull happen. That's what like playing to win is. If you want it bad enough, you're gonna fucking figure it out.
That's what, you know,
I would add
this is-
on top of that quickly. It's funny because you mentioned guys collecting a lot of phone numbers. I am the king of message game, and we all know very well that the vast majority of guys fucking suck at messaging women. So it's like even if they get so many phone numbers, they're gonna be a disaster with a lot of the messaging that's going on. And the mistakes are so repetitive. It's just insane if you're actually an expert at this kind of thing. But anyway.
I just got a great
Well,
idea.
especially with night game too. Like in night game, yeah, don't even like the number is almost a failure once you're past that beginner stage. It's like, okay, cool. You got a number. Who gives a fuck? She could have given you a false number. She could forget who you are tomorrow. It's like exactly what Brandon was saying. And I'm sure Jesse advocates for as well. Is like, try to fucking close that night. If you're going out at night, try to close and get the phone number as a backup, but try to close.
You know, that's interesting. This could be like a whole different separate debate. But what I prefer to do is I prefer to get a bunch of phone numbers so that I have dates during the week as opposed to like closing right then and there. Because I'll get like, 10 or 11 numbers and I'll end up setting those dates throughout the week as opposed to just going home that one night, right? So at least I have those dates throughout the week as opposed to just the one.
Why not make it every
I do that more in day game. Day game,
okay.
I like that. Social circle game, I like that. But for night game, I think the priority should be closing. And then you get the number of like, hey, logistically, it's not going to happen tonight. Or, oh shit, we're going to another venue with the other friends. It's like, if there's a reason to get a phone number, cool, get a phone number. It's not like an absolute loss. But dude, why not go for the actual close?
Solid points
No.
from everyone. I'll add on top of this, night game phone numbers are going to be more flaky.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
for me,
night
it's also
game is a
too, like,
complete waste of time, man. If you don't know what you're doing in night game, it's a complete waste of time. And if you're not planning to actually pull from night game, why would you go to a nightclub? I worked there. I brought thousands of people into nightclub, and in my opinion, it's a waste of time. Especially if you're a successful guy and you want to run a business or something like that. Like, why would you go to a nightclub from 11 to 3 or 4 a.m.?
Actually, and Phil,
Yeah,
to go off your point, part of the reason why I like getting all those numbers to set up throughout the week is because quite honestly, I don't want to be staying up till like 4 in the morning and then have to get a girl out of my bed because I can't sleep when there's a girl like lying in my bed. It's like, okay, well, hey, come on, like it's 4:30 in the morning here, right? So I'd rather just get the numbers, set them up during the day throughout the week. But that's just me.
Nightclubs are good for learning, leading, escalating. Maybe if you want to have a fun time with your friend, and then I go to nightclubs, but I have a VIP table with my friends. And then we 10 girls, and then we go home, like day game and social circle game and building an epic Instagram is, in my opinion, the best for a lifestyle for a successful man. And also you get the most high quality girls. And guys, I'm telling you, luxury beach clubs. If you want to have the hottest woman, there's a lot of paid for presence girls there, like that get paid by the club to just be there and be pretty, but they're so fucking hot. They're all in bikinis and it's awesome. I'm running parties here. You can all come. Eyes wide, you're close. And the Mexican guys, just come, man. We're gonna party together. It's epic.
Why not go out?
20 girls.
Why not go out? 3 or 4 numbers, right? And then lock in You get there at 9, lock in, get 3 or 4 numbers, set it up, and then close at midnight, right? For night game, you don't have to stay out all night. You could pull at midnight, 11 p.m. You don't have to stay out all night.
I will say
What-
too, it's very dependent on venues. So that's a big reason. I know we talked in the beginning about like places to go out in Scottsdale. That's a big part of why I don't like the clubs, is because you're having to compete for attention, and everything about the club is set up to shit on guys without tables. The club is there to sell tables to make money. And they sell tables by making low status guys feel low status and high status guys feel high status, or specifically guys who pay make them feel high status. So that's why I like to go to the rooftops, to the open air places where there's still chatter and it's still loud and there's that fun, adventurous vibe, but it's not a nightclub. Because I agree actually 100% with Phil. I don't really love nightclub game in general.
I'm
Oh,
actually
that's a good pivot to go somewhere actually, because me, Jesse, and Brandon were in Vegas 2 years ago, and what I noticed is all these fucking clubs, just like 70% at least of the floor space is just fucking tables. What I'm used to is like just a nightclub and everyone's just standing up and shit like that, and maybe there'd be like 2 tables, 4 tables, or 1 table. But it's like you mentioned, as a business model, clubs are now just selling tables to the feel of the separation of high status, low status. That's now a monetization game that nightclubs seem to be playing in the last few years. What can you guys say about the table game kind of stuff? Because when I got to Vegas, I was like, what the fuck is going on? When everyone has a table, it makes no difference almost. I thought it was
comps.
almost completely pointless.
Hmm.
No, so I'll go ahead and go with that. So we do a lot of camps in Vegas, right? And before we do go out, we like game in the lobby, and there's guys like asking girls, "Yo, come on my table," right? Because they believe that's the way to get the girls. And it happened so many times where like I'm rizzing up this chick, and she's into it, right? She fucking loves it. She's on a table, and she actually takes me because of her to the table, right? So I think you could socialize your way into the table with girls with a good game. And then at the end of the night, they're still going to end up going home with you anyways, right? So I would think of tables as a avenue, because Brandon and I have gone tables before. Like, we love to party, right? That's why I love clubs, right? It's not to get chicks. I just love like partying, really. So you should look at it as a tool, but not like the end all be all to get girls. You get what I'm saying? It's cool to have a table. It's nice. But just learn how to maneuver around that. And you have to know how to maneuver around that, right? It's just life if you can't afford a table. But other than that, I think it's a good tool to use if you can use it.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. Is honestly, I just don't love like the whole party thing anyways. Like, to me, genuinely, it's much more fun to be at like a wine bar or cocktail lounge, or do like a photo shoot, or shit, dude, I'll do like board game nights. Those are fun. So I think it kind of just comes down to guys being honest with what they actually enjoy. Because if you're forcing yourself, like, if you love to party, go fucking party. Go do your thing. Don't try to pull off my game. If you don't like to party, then don't force yourself to go out and party. Like, build a game style that's congruent with what you actually want in the long term. Otherwise, you're
I
just
think
gonna
that's
shoot
what
yourself in the foot.
most guys don't understand. I don't know about you guys, but for me, it was very clear with 18, 19 years old that if I want to get hot girls, I need to create an entire lifestyle where I can meet enough women. Like, how can you be so stupid and live in a small town and expect to get laid? Like, what's wrong with all these people, man? Like, lifestyle
McDonald's.
isn't that such a big point of the game? You have to live in a big city, not too far away from the center. There has to be a lot of foot traffic if you want to do day game, and you have to kind of like make your career or design your career in a way where you can meet women. Like, I don't know what's so hard about this, where like, are most people not intelligent enough to understand this? But like, the lifestyle, it plays such a big role in dating, don't you guys think? The entire lifestyle, how you go about it, because dating takes so much time if you're doing it right. And if you want to date attractive women, then 10 times more. You know, if you
No,
want
you
to
have to have a good setup. You have to
Yeah.
have good logistics. Like, you have to
100%.
ask yourself genuinely, how much is this worth to me?
Mm. Mm. Logistics is huge.
You know, you want to be how many guys come on? They live in the fucking woods. They're like, what can I do? I'm like, move out of the fucking woods, dude. Like there's no pussy in the woods, dude. Like what do you want
I
me to
was
tell-
doing
It's not that complicated.
I'm from the woods. I was doing pretty well for myself, but hey, you know, with the bears and shit, that's anyway. I moved from the fucking woods to the big city, and then I was doing even better. But you know, I was an extreme example. But most guys just fucking can't do it.
It's a good point because a lot of guys are living in like a smaller town, and it's like, okay, they're comfortable because they have a 9 to 5 job, and you know they're getting their paychecks weekly. But the thing is too is like, sure, okay, you can ask them what's holding them back from moving to the bigger city that's close to them. But at the same time too, I think a lot of guys and people in general just like to cope with the fact that they're busy being busy, right? So it's like a question that I'll ask them is just like, okay, well, you're pretty in shape, right? So you go to the gym quite often. So you're not seeing a lot of attractive girls, but like, do you ever see good-looking girls at your gym? What about at the coffee store or coffee shop? What about walking down the street at the grocery store?
Yeah.
So why not talk to those girls? Right?
But
And then,
honestly, if you're starting out in game, you're socially incompetent. I was definitely very socially incompetent, fearful, anxious, insecure. And then when you're in your small town and you approach the 5 hot girls that are in your 50K city, then they are burned. Once a girl doesn't like you or decides she's not going to sleep with you, that's not going to change later once you have game, right? So in the beginning, when you're learning game, and that's what I always say, if you want to have a social circle, you also need a baseline of social skills and charisma and confidence. Otherwise you're just attracting alcoholics and weird people into your social circle, right? So that's the main reason you can get laid in a small city, but you need to start off in a massive city where you can do hundreds of approaches to become socially competent, pretty much. And
That's perfect opportunity to pivot this into one of the questions I noted as a priority to ask, actually. What are the best cities in North America for game?
Scottsdale. But also Miami, LA. I mean, like any big cities, but Miami and Scottsdale are top 2 for me. I think Vegas can be fun, but it's a different animal. I'd actually advise most guys who are trying to learn game who don't live in Vegas, maybe not prioritize Vegas. It's just good because you can get the reps in. But if you guys are looking for a city to move to do game, I cannot recommend Scottsdale enough, and I can't recommend Miami enough. They're so fucking good.
I've only ever been to Miami. I would agree with Miami.
Miami Moxies. You go there, all these hot girls go there and, sit there with their cocktails and like to be approached. I'm telling you. I met some girls from the bikini contest from Michael Sartain. I approached them and like, oh, you're this guy, whatever. And then they told me about Michael, yeah. I love what Michael Sartain is doing. But also you have to think he's pretty much running an entire career based on that, right? The bikini contest is fucking sick, but it's also a very niche down social circle. Love it. It's great.
I've never been to New York
Michael
City.
knows exactly what he wants, and he has set up his entire life to get it.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that's where some guys fuck up when they take his advice, is they don't want the same thing and they try to do exactly what he's done. Use his structure and his framework to apply to like what you actually want. That's just my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, if you think about it, everyone wants to be with 50 bikini models around, but are you willing to put in the work? Are you willing to change your career in a way where you can actually pull that off and organize that? Because that takes a lot of fucking time. I can tell you that. I've been running like events with thousands of people, and we always had these promoter girls around, but it takes so much time to do social circle game. You have to do what you like in regards to your lifestyle design and your dating game. And it has to
That's why
to you,
gingerbread houses are so damn good.
Yay. I'm actually into that. I'm just teasing.
Listen, it's a great social circle event. It's because it doesn't take that much time. Like that's the social circle I advise most guys build, is like set up something that you actually like doing. If it's gingerbread, cool. If it's video games, cool. Like whatever you're into, there are girls who find that activity fun, and then just turn it into a group activity. Just invite like 5-6 girls and turn that into your social circle. Don't worry about having a bikini competition every other weekend.
I think a good point to kind of piggyback off of that is that a lot of guys are just going to their 9 to 5 and they're going to the gym and that's it. They're not really doing anything else. They don't really have activities, interests, or passions outside of that. So my recommendation for a lot of guys who are in that situation is to just start doing more activities, start taking more classes, yoga classes, do running clubs, gingerbread house making, whatever it is. right? Just doing stuff outside of just the boring routine.
I would jump onto what was said earlier about Michael Sartain. Like a lot of guys come to me and they're like I I I want to be in this social circle game thing, but I don't want to do what Michael Sartain's doing. I'm like, yeah, you got to do your own thing. Like my version of social circle game wasn't moving to a city like Las Vegas and having bikini competitions and so on. My version of social circle game was just implementing that where it made sense in my life. If I was going to the nightclub every Friday and some Saturdays, I might as well have a line of social circle game in there that makes it make sense. So I'm not a music person. I'm not a DJ. So career-wise, it's like night game is pretty irrelevant to me. But the use I did make of it was let me just use it as a date location, network with the club, get VIP every single week. So I walk in, skip the line with 200 people, no search, no ID. I just go in. I go backstage, on stage, in the green room, and all that stuff. And I'm the friend of the people running it, basically. And then I can just match with women from Tinder or bring women from other avenues of wherever I met them in my life and just bring them there for a first date or a second date or something like that. And that way I'm going to the nightclub, which I like to do, but I'm also already on a date, and then there's the social proof pre-selection implementations of that, and it all just made more sense. So your own personal design, like if you're going to be a lawyer or something, you have to think about what makes sense for you, because there was some guy just a few weeks ago who was interested in doing a social circle game for in line with his business. It was something to do with healthcare maybe. So yeah, bikini, unless it's plastic surgery or tanning or I don't know, something like that. It's not really going to make sense to have a bunch of ladies in bikinis come to an event about selling pills for curing dementia or something. So do some social circle game with old people, or it has to make sense for your life. And if it has a great dating aspect that makes you come out on top of it, then that's all there is to it. Anyway, back to best cities for game. Have we finished gone?
I got you. I do agree with Jordan. If you like blondes, if you like fucking bombshell blondes, Scottsdale is the place to be. Or second place for bombshell blondes, Nashville, really good.
Yes.
Also, I haven't heard anyone mention this yet. Austin, Texas is fucking awesome. If you want hot chicks, a lot of young girls, Miami, and a secret mention, Montreal, Canada, if you want naturally beautiful girls.
I will say I'm from Canada, so I would much rather go to Montreal the game than Toronto.
Yeah.
I've never been to New York City, but I hear New York City is good as well too. I don't know if any of you guys can add on that.
I grew up there, so I used to make the trip to Montreal quite a bit. Montreal is similar to New York in the sense of like it's kind of a big city, but cleaner, and I think the girls are nicer and more just naturally. I think America girls are obsessed with fake tits, lips, all that shit. It's not so much the case in Montreal. So from what I noticed.
Yeah, actually, I agree with that. Yeah, you don't see too much of that for sure.
Did you say blonde bombshells in Nashville? Spit on that thing.
Yeah,
that was in Nashville.
Talk to her, bro.
Oh yeah.
I tried to set up a debate with her and just pearly things, but then it was gonna happen. It was so close to happening. And then suddenly she turned around and said, she's going to have to pay me for it. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? She's got more subscribers than you. Why should she be paying you for a fucking debate? She's more famous. It's like, and then she didn't want to do it. So I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Oh man. And then a few weeks later, her cryptocurrency thing was happening. So I was like, ah, shit. I could have got 1 million views out of that or whatever, but fuck it. God damn it. But anyway, what she said, hawk tour and spit on that thing, she just basically summarized, she just set the blueprint for men, basically. Men are simple creatures. We just want to be loved. If you treat us like that and oh yes, lubricate us. She is speaking God's word. That is why she's so popular. Well, for saying that. The rest, I don't know. It's a bit schemy at this point.
High quality woman.
Anyway, back to cities. Have we finished going for that?
I would say Miami, honestly. You know, I always say this. One of the main reasons I live like in Mexico right now is because it's not cold 6 months of the year. So I tried Barcelona. Even in Barcelona, it's cold like 4 months of the year. And if you go to Miami, maybe some places in California, LA, then it's warm all the time. And if you can't really do game, you know, I don't know about you, but I don't like the online datings so much. The online dating apps, I feel kind of a retard if I'm using them too much. And I would say Miami in America, and for day game in Europe, Warsaw, Budapest, Berlin, Frankfurt, Barcelona. So
Barcelona, yes.
yeah, in the European cities, you have everything is very centralized, you know. So like you always have like one street, and everything is branching off from there. So like everyone is there at one point, and you can just do so many approaches, and very good to learn and practice game. So if you want to run boot camps there, I've been doing boot camps in all of Europe, and it's great. Telling you, also really hot girls.
I also think it definitely has to do with like what your interest is, right? Like me and my friend, we're really good with each other, right? Like he's my number one wingman, but he prefers like the pretty face, pencil physique, model, blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl. Well, I prefer like the thick Latina, big boobs, big ass type, right? So I know that like if I'm trying to find that type, I'll go to like a Miami, I'll go to like a Barcelona, Medellin. And whereas he'll go to like Sweden, he'll go to Nashville, right? Like he knows where he'll attract that girl or he'll see that girl, and I know where to go for my type.
I call that the toxic Latina type.
Yeah. The TLT.
More than 2 surgeries, she's a ladyboy, guys. Don't forget. More than 2 plastic surgeries. The chances are really high she's a she-male.
That's true. I got a buddy he's got huge yellow fever, and he says that Thailand is his bread and butter. He would live there, right? So, all right.
I thought you were gonna say your buddy had huge boobies, and I was like, oh, there you go.
I thought I was going there
Plot
too.
twist.
Holy Move. Let's change the fucking topic then. I'm not getting into that shit. I was in a call this morning, which was really getting into that at like 2 a.m. Fuck it. What kind of social circle game things do you implement in your game?
With that question, just so I'm clear on what you're asking, like, is that pretty much just positioning yourself in the best possible way? Or is that like posting photos and videos of you with other girls to attract more girls? Like, I'm just trying to get clear on what that means exactly.
Just it's a very broad question. So any kind of social circle game implementation. So if I could give an example, maybe it's like what I said earlier about using the nightclub as a date location, networking arena, and so on. It's like I see social circle game as a kind of efficiency where you're connecting the dots. Whereas like most guys doing day game, if they're not using it for a means of doing social circle game, they're just approach a woman, go on dates with her, have sex with her maybe, and then never meet her friends unless you get married to her. It's like you just meet one woman at a time, go on a date with one woman at a time, and you just deal with one woman at a time, which a lot of day gamers are doing, for example. Social circle game, are you meeting her friends? Are you perhaps, like you mentioned, getting photos, and then that goes on your Facebook, Instagram, and then that helps you get more connections, dates, and so on. So I simply see this more in terms of connecting the dots, if that makes sense.
So I think the easiest way that any guy can get started in social circle game is just to take the hobbies and activities that you already enjoy and turn them into group activities. Just start inviting girls. So I've done Taco Tuesdays, I've done Wine Wednesdays, I've done board game nights, I've done the big photo shoots, I've been to the bikini competitions. That's not necessary. All you need to do is just get a couple of girls, shoot for like 2 to 3 girls for every guy, and just go do an activity that you enjoy. Actually, one that we'll probably do soon is looks like one of the bars out here is going to have like a big goldfish race. That sounds fun as fuck. It sounds
What the
hilarious.
fuck?
It's like
I
penny
want to
pairs.
go.
Yeah.
Exactly. So like any of that shit where you're like, oh, I want to go. Oh, you know who else would like to go? Oh, all the pretty girls in my phone. Oh, all the pretty girls in my Instagram. And it's like you don't have to be sleeping with most of them. You don't have to be sleeping with all of them, but like one or two of the girls is going to find you attractive. You pick up on those indicators of interest and you just basically have fun on whatever the activity is, and she will find a way to put herself in position for you. So exactly like what Jesse was saying, where like she's going to be escalating on you. That's what women do, especially in social circle game, is they start competing and she'll start escalating and she'll make it clear, I want you. And then you get to pick. And sometimes that means you get to pick multiple throughout weeks. I mean, I've had events where like literally I've hooked up with like 7, 8 of the girls from the events over the course of a couple of months. And it's just like, you don't worry about it at the time, you just have fun.
I agree with that. But before even going into the social circle game, your social skills have to be on point, right?
Yes.
Fastest way to build, obviously cold approach, yeah, but I'm talking like communication just with everyone, right? So I lived in Dallas for like 7 years, right? And there was bars, there was clubs you could ask all my wingmen where I would just walk in, right? The manager knew me, the bouncers knew me, the bartenders knew me. I would spend like $7 the entire night, right? And I would just fucking with the girls that I was with. And that happened basically in 20 to 30 minutes, right? Getting to know all these people. So those are the social skills you guys have to build first before you can start maneuvering bigger groups, right? Because once you have bigger groups, it's going to be a lot more complicated to manage. And then you can also actually start understanding women a little better. So once you can actually do that, right? Once you can talk to the bouncer like he's your boy, the manager, the bartender, right? The bottle girl. Once everybody knows you, right? Up to that level, then you could start developing your social circle, right? Okay, I know the DJ, I know these people, all that stuff. And that's just learning communication, right? So if you're good at that, you're going to inherently be good with women too, right? Because they like go hand in hand. And it's kind of a funny saying that I say is like, if you're a good flirt with women, you're basically a good flirt with the entire world, right? 3 things: financial security, a good flirt, and a good fuck, right? That's the 3 things that they want. Everything else is like your ambition. Like literally, that's everything else is your ambition. So if you want to develop that network, that social circle, right? Everything outside those 3 F's is just your ambition. And sure, you'll get a little bit more of those 3 F's, but it's just your ambition at that point. So until you get good with those communication skills, so you can walk up, talk to everyone like they're your boy. Everybody knows you by first name. There's girls like look, scream your name at the line. Then go ahead and try to build something bigger than that.
I agree 100%. I think if guys try to throw together social circle events and they're not good at really giving everybody a good time, if people come to your event and it sucks and it's boring and it's lame and you're uncalibrated, they will never do anything with you again. It's a really fast way to burn a lot of leads if it's not fun.
That's a great point. And I love what Jesse said about just like talking to everybody, right? Making everybody your boy, because all too often people are only talking to like the same old 6 or 7 people, right? Marty from the work or, their friends and family, when it's like you're walking around every single day, on the street, on the subway, whatever it is, right? And if you observe the average guy, how he walks around, or the average person, they're so zoned out, they don't even know what's going on around them. But if you can be that guy to just be social the second you leave your house, talk to the old man that's crossing the street, right? Talk to whoever, right? You're only one connection away from changing your life. And yes, it's cool to have this skill to be able to pick up girls, go on dates, potentially have a girlfriend. But just by going up, being that guy to actually create that opportunity for himself to go and inject himself into different social situations and just open his mouth, you don't know who you're going to attract into your life, whether that's a friend, a business partner, be able to enhance your network. Like there's so much power in that just by being social again, right? By doing what people did in the past, but have become too afraid to do.
Yet another reason to move to a big city.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Yep.
I got a weird question here. I don't really know what it means, but I'm only asking it for SEO reasons because for some reason it's extremely fucking popular. How do you deal with bratty women?
Bratty women.
I love a brat. I just cocky funny, honestly. That's it.
Any girl will be submissive with the right guy. So she could be a brat with some guy, but with me, she's the most submissive fucking girl, right? It's either that or she's out. Like there's no in between. You know what I'm saying? Just because there's always going to be someone like, I don't need that fucking brattiness, right? Okay, get out. The door's right there. But you don't never want to put up with that, right? You want to come from an abundance mindset. So it's one or the other. You're either in, submissive and you love me, or you're out. There's no reason for you to be acting like that.
This is a great topic to get into because me and my friend, like my wingman that we go out with, he's a little more persistent, whereas I'm a little more like, okay, she's gonna give me shit. I'm not even interested, so I'm gonna go on to somebody else. I don't care how hot she is, right? Like, cool, she's been doing her makeup since she's 12 years old. When I go up to a girl, I'm trying to see like, okay, does she understand my sense of humor? Is she negative or is she positive? Is she fun to be around? So I'll go up and talk to the girl for like, the first minute and a half, 2 minutes, there's that little leeway that I'll give. But if she's just being a pain in the ass, I'm just gonna go walk away and talk to someone else where he'll kind of push through and he'll like, talk to her for 10, 15 minutes and build a little more rapport, comfort, whatever. Whereas I'm more like, okay, I'm on to the next. So that's kind of my thing where it's just like I kind of know exactly what I'm looking for. She's got to have those positive vibes, that energy, be able to understand my sense of humor. If not, her loss.
Yeah, to take a step back too, I think it's really important to understand whether the brattiness is like a playful shit test, is in like, oh, is this guy really who he says he is? Is it a congruence test? Or is it like she's actually just being rude and disrespectful? Do not ever tolerate genuine rudeness, genuine disrespect, negativity. Those can go. But I also love interactions with girls where like you're just roasting the shit out of each other the entire time. Like that honestly gets my dick hard. I fucking love it. It's so fun to me to just like roast the shit out of your girl and she dishes it right back. That's fun.
I had this crazy interaction one time where this was kind of happening, and I don't know what the fuck happened, but we were bantering so much and it was all good. I was never offended by anything, but at some point she got too offended by what I was saying and I just fucking burned it too hard. She was playfully slapping me, and then I turned to like all the people watching and I was like, "Oh, she's a slapper." And then she got offended by that and slapped me even harder, called me a masochist. I was like, "I don't even know what the fuck that means." And then she was so frustrated. Oh man, it was going well up to some point in there, and it was just a crazy one.
Yeah,
I think
I'll tell you guys, if you guys really, if she's really being disrespectful, okay, I think it's time to walk away. But if for some strange reason you really want to fuck this girl, right, the best thing you could do is be non-reactive to what she's doing, right? And just keep spitting your regular fucking game, right? And just trust that it's gonna work. Once you start kind of buying into it, letting her get to you, it's fucking over. It's cooked, right? Just
Mm.
be non-reactive, play it cool, play it down, and just stick in. But like you said, if she's being a fucking total cunt, then to get out of there.
Yeah,
I
not
never
not
take
being
any of that seriously. It's just yeah, I don't know. We see these videos on YouTube and Facebook or Instagram all the time where it's like these confrontations, and then I hate to be kind of demographic about this, but there are these especially those popping balloon shows where they like take it too seriously and they like hit her back like you got hairy arms and shit like that. Obviously some things are gonna go too hard, and I don't know, it's kind of crazy to me that some guys would take this shit way too fucking personally and then just attack.
yeah,
Yeah,
for
actually, just don't take it personal too, because like if a girl is genuinely rude or disrespectful, especially off of the open, she has no idea who the fuck you are. She's either just in a bad mood, and maybe she's just a shitty person. That's totally possible. Or like you don't fucking know. Like her dog could have just died, and maybe she's just not in the mood to talk to anybody. So if she's rude to you, don't get caught up in that moment. Don't let that ruin the rest of your night, and don't get into that negative spiral. Just okay, whatever. She was having a bad time. On to the next one. If it
mm.
happens every time, that's a you problem. If it's like, hey, every now and then girls are just rude, okay, whatever. People are just people, and just let it roll off your back.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. And also too, you could meet that same girl in a different scenario and she would be completely different, right? Where it's like maybe you
Yes.
met the girl at a nightclub when, before you just went up, there was some guy that just went up and grabbed her ass, and then she's been turning down like drunken assholes all night, and then it's just like she just put you in that same category and she's already pissed off. Whereas if you met her at the cafe the next day, she'd be completely different, right? You don't know.
Mhm.
Can't take, yeah, I
Those
think a great takeaway is just don't take it personal.
they can be pissed off for like even the small like maybe this isn't a small thing, but no, having female best friends over time, there's one particular wing woman I had and she would just get super fucking pissed off if a man just like puts his hand on her shoulder or waist as he's passing by. It's just something that some older men do, and it's just like straight away, it just ruins her fucking night. And then she just becomes a real fucking bitch to everyone after that. It's just this crazy thing.
Yeah.
Any other perspectives on this?
No, but I just wanted to say, man, Ice, this is fucking awesome. Thank you for inviting me, and I'm very happy and grateful that you guys are all here. You're all charismatic, and thank you very much, man.
We need to do a German panel eventually. So give me a list of like Germans in the space, because they got their whole thing going on in English and Deutsch. So it's probably a fascinating one to have in the future. Anyway, let's move on to the next one. How do you use Instagram or Facebook stories to your advantage with women?
I use it a lot. Guys, a great Instagram is the best. Basically, what you do, you show that you have great friends, that you're eating great food, that you're having extremely attractive women in your life, that you travel the world, and women will love you. I'm telling you, 2 profiles, one for a private one, and I have a business one, right, for the dating coaching. And when women scroll through my feed, they're like, oh shit, you're trouble, you know? And I have all these different kind of videos where I'm, where I'm with a dog, where I'm with a baby tiger, where I'm with a pretty woman, where I'm at the beach club, where I'm at the nightclub, where I'm traveling in Barcelona or in Thailand or whatever. And what you want to do is that you just build an Instagram profile where they see that you're a well-rounded guy with the right body language, with the right facial expressions, and in the right location that kind of give off that you are in the upper echelons of society. That
It's a passive display of status, really. So like the easiest thing that you guys can do before you even worry about stories is just figure out where the hotspots are. Where do the hot girls go in your town, in your city, and then go get some pictures there. Focus a little bit more on the lifestyle and the environment, the things about the way that you live than on you. So like on a dating app, you want to have the picture focused on you. On social media, it's more about, okay, what are all the things that surround this guy? And she's going to stalk that, and she gets to see like that little taste of your brand. And then stories are just to stay top of mind. It honestly doesn't matter much what you post. Anytime you're on an adventure, cool, post it. You can post, like Ice was saying, little like subtle pre-selection date stuff is great. But you can also just post a fucking meme. Like if you got nothing else, put a meme up there. She's gonna see your face. She's gonna laugh, and just through that repetition, she'll feel like she knows you. But I am actually a professional photographer. If any of the guys watching want an Instagram audit, just message me, Gingerbread Global, and I will hook you guys up with that for free.
So I'll contrast that a little bit. So I personally don't tend to put memes in my story. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but when I post stories these days, I used to years ago maybe, but when I post stories these days, the best way for me to deal with this is put the sexiest photo first, and anything else goes after that. Because if you're uploading things every 4 hours, then you're just going to have a different thing show up this is
Don't
for
spam.
Facebook more so than Instagram. But the first thing is always going to get more views. There are exceptions, like if something gets shared like crazy. But the first thing they see on your Instagram story is going to be the most important. So I will put that as like the most eye-catchingly sexy and whatever way you could interpret that to be. So for example, me and my wife were just going to I'm a bit more of a trailblazer than to research like where other people on Instagram are going out. I'm just going Google Maps and I'm searching all the time for like these crazy gingerbread milkshake waffle places. And we went to one like 2 weeks ago, and it's all pink and flashy and shit. And then we could just like put a photo of us there. I'm wearing my crazy cowboy boots, and she's wearing her 9-inch high heels, which are like the only ones in the universe. And then everyone just is like, this is like the most insane photo I ever seen. Let me fucking tap on that shit. And then it just gets crazy amounts of views compared to other things, which won't necessarily be as eye-catching, especially to a male audience. Because let's be real, if you're a dating coach, a lot of your audience is going to be male. You're going to get a lot of men sending you a friend request, following you. You're going to have women in there too, but it's this funny thing where you kind of have to market towards both men and women if you're really making dating coach and dating opportunities out of your content.
I think one thing that's very underrated is showing experiences, right? Travel is a huge one. And I can't remember the exact percentage, but I believe I read a stat recently. It was like 50% of people in the States have never been out of America. So they have like this warped perception where it's just like, and you guys know, it's not really that expensive to go to like a Cancun or like a Thailand, right? But people think that you have to have all this money to go and travel when it's like you can find deals left, right, and center. So by putting those pictures up where you're in a new city, I think it paints the picture to women and to people in general that it's like, okay, this guy's got money, this guy likes to have a fun and he has a cool, interesting life. And that's something I want to be a part of, right? If you can portray the this could be you mentality behind the pictures, I think that's so important. Whether that's just like, you know, what someone else was saying about food, right? Like you're on the opposite side of the table, you take a picture of the plate of food, or, you know, just being able to come along with the experiences, right? That's
so instead of taking a photo of my plate, I'm taking a photo of all the plates on the table. So it's like, okay, there you can see the hands that way. So just to clarify for anyone who's visualizing that in any certain
general
way.
Litmus test actually is just to ask yourself, okay, if I removed myself from this photo, is it still cool? Or would a girl want to join me here? Or would a girl want this photo for herself? If you're passing through those questions, if those are check marks, then it's probably something good to post. If it's really just like a photo of you in the bathroom with your shirt off, not doing much for you.
And I also think too, if you, instead of being too showboaty and too in your face about things, if it's more subtle, like for instance, that example, I know guys that look like IFBB pros on the cover of Muscle and Men's Health and Fitness. They have like really good physiques, but like the bathroom selfie versus the, oh, just caught me here throwing a football on the beach where I just happened to have a full pump and, you know, just fresh off the gym, right? Versus like, oh yeah, this is me, like the douchey selfie. You know, where it's subtle versus direct.
Yes.
Incredible points.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
In terms of coming up for content, right? So basically, as humans, we want to survive. So like when we're telling adventure stories, everyone is excited because you were talking about survival. Then food and drinks. So you want to present food on social media, or that you're having great food or better food than everyone else. Then social acceptance, that you're having friends, right? Then companionship, that you're having pretty women. And then present that you have a little bit of a cooler or more interesting lifestyle than everyone else. And then you have all the human wants and needs covered. And then it's going to be automatically attractive to high value men and, of course, to attractive women.
And just to piggyback off that real quick, from talking to a lot of guys, I thought that like the biggest problem for them was just, you know, getting a girlfriend or going on more dates. But a lot of these guys, they feel lost in their own circle of friends, right? It's like you guys have all heard the saying, like you are the 5 people you surround yourself with. But a lot of these guys are surrounding themselves with guys who have like the crabs in a bucket mentality that, oh, you shouldn't even try to do that. Like guys that are bringing them down. So with these social skills, you should be going out, meeting more people, going to more networking events, going to more places so that you can have a social circle of friends around you and you can start going to these other events and you can start networking and creating more experiences for yourself and meeting new people and going to parties and stuff, right? So surround yourself with better people in general, better guys, better social group.
I think you nailed it. I think, wasn't it Jesse who said earlier, like, if you can flirt with a girl, you can flirt with the world? That's bang on.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I want to put you guys actually on some free game. The guys listening, I think a lot of guys overlook this platform, but it works really well for young chicks. Me and Jesse actually made a video about it, is Snapchat. Okay? Because you can do everything the same, except it's even more personable and you don't even need photos. You could DHV your life pretty well, right? Gym, traveling, good food, you know, doing cool shit. And a lot of the young girls are on there swiping through those stories. And it's a really good place to keep your rotation girls warm. mostly, typically on the younger side.
You know,
On the
my
young.
buddy told me something like exactly similar to that recently, and I'm off Snapchat. I don't know really anything about it, but I'm curious, like, how does that differ than just Instagram stories, like as opposed
I'll take this one.
Let's do it.
Personally,
All right, message
personally,
king.
I haven't really used Snapchat since probably 2018. I was like at that point, when was that, 7 years ago now? At that point, I was really thinking it was starting to fucking die. So I'm surprised it's like still fucking going, but even back then, and it's gonna be the same now, but maybe to a lesser extent. Yeah, I kind of negatively refer to it as a platform for 14-year-olds because it's really for the young women who are like 21. And those are the kind of women who annoy me because I'm a high IQ person. I'm just like, I can't deal with 21-year-olds anymore. And I got to points where I was like, these girls are so fucking annoying, these younger ones. And then I was just more into 25 and above. So I can't fuck Snapchat. I'm deleting myself off this shit. But essentially, the main difference, I guess, is Instagram, you have a profile and your pictures are there permanently. People can see them. Snapchat is like everything. It has no body. It has stories, which you could see for 24 hours. Maybe a few features changed, but generally there's no skeleton or muscle of a body. You can't see like things posted from before necessarily. There was this cool thing called Snapchat Spectacles, and I did have it, and it was this pretty good thing. Another good thing with Snapchat actually was the live map, the Snap Map, because you could see if you're traveling between continents like I was every few months. I could see, oh, my friend from my European friend is in New York and I'm going to New York in a few days. So you just having this snap map with hundreds of connections is just fucking crazy because so like, oh, if you want to come up and see me and she's over from Italy, but we're both in North America, but only 100 miles apart, come up north a little more and we can hang out and stuff like that. So that was a nice feature which is really missing out these days on other platforms. But spectacles, that was like these days you got those meta glasses. It's pretty much the same thing. You could press the button once to record 10-second video or 3 times for 30 seconds. And it just takes a POV video. And I was effectively using that instead of like professional infield and shit like that. I was just fucking around with these spectacles and making some weird fucking videos about out of the dates I was going on, the times I was out at night. But yeah, I was really turned off of Snapchat a very long time ago because it's way more of a younger audience. And the type of people who use it actively, especially, or the type of people who annoy me. Maybe I'm just being super fucking biased, but you guys go ahead. I'm gonna rant about it.
There's chicks that were 14.
there is
I'm 19, bro. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, there
I
is
don't love
Great for real.
Snapchat personally, but I think it's easy enough just to post anything that you would put on an Instagram story, you can post to Snapchat. So there's not really any harm to being on it. Personally, my only negative skew on it is there's a lot of really thirsty dudes on Snapchat, and I don't want to be clumped into all of the thirsty guys who are constantly commenting on all for shit. But apart from that, I mean, sometimes it's nice just to like send a photo directly to the girl of like you doing your shit. You send that out to like 20, 30 chicks. It's great for that. But I don't know. Personally, I tend to be more on Instagram, tend to be more on phone numbers, and I try to avoid Snapchat unless the girl's like specifically asking me if I have it after I've already gotten the phone number in Instagram.
I think a great
Definitely
point.
Snapchat after the number after.
The
It's
funny
probably an area
thing,
I can improve on, to be honest.
funny
Like, if you
thing
guys are
is,
seeing success with it, it probably works.
I had a wingman one time who was like 19 years old and he was asking this MILF for her Snapchat. I'm like, dude, she doesn't know what Snapchat is. What the fuck are you asking? You
Yeah.
got to be aware of demographics here.
Knowing what lakes to put yourself, knowing what lakes to fish in, if we're going to use an analogy, is so important because I think a lot of guys are just trying to get whoever they can get, as opposed to like knowing, okay, I want a girl who's in shape, who has a good diet, who's from the ages of whatever to whatever. Where can I go to find that type of girl, right? Where it's like, okay, if you're into younger girls, sure, use Snapchat. right? But if you're into the MILFs, the Cougars, know the bars, know the clubs, set your age range to that on Bumble, Tinder, Hinge, right? Put yourself in the right environments.
Bingo night on Tuesdays, bro, for the Cougars.
There you go.
If you're into
I actually like to
transgenders,
hang out
okay,
outside of
that's
the
enough.
Social Security office. That's my go-to totally.
I like to go to the old woman homes. You know, great crowds there. They won't remember you, so it's like the
Ooh.
movie 50
Oh
First
my God,
Dates.
that's a hack.
The Gilf Hunter over here, eh?
Great practice ground because like any line you give, it's always going to be the first time you're talking to them in their mind.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
just give the classic, you don't look a day over 55. Oh my God, thank you so much.
you know that scene from was it American Pie or something where Stifler goes to no, maybe it's like some random TV show, but this guy goes to like a nursing home and starts masturbating over like a 20-year when a photo of when she was 20 years old in a bikini from like the 50s. And then she's
That's
like, "Oh
hilarious.
my, that's what the fuck."
Mm.
Moving on, old woman, grandmother fucker, grandmother fucker global. What the fuck are
Hey,
we
some
going
guys
into
like it.
here?
Yeah, you can't
Let's
knock it. Some guys like it.
let's change the topic once again. A slightly different twist. So this is kind of the same, but we'll see. What are some things guys should do to really take advantage of their social media in a way that enhances their dating life?
Hmm. Hmm.
Do a photo
Yeah, there's
shooting and do it professionally and plan it out for several months on what kind of content you want to shoot. Because, there's also some guys that kind of have the right pictures in the right locations, but then they have it with like a beta male body language and kind of weird
Hmm.
expressions, and then it's not gonna work as well,
Hmm.
because yeah, and you have to put work into this. And also with cold approach, in my opinion, uh, I'm a short guy. I'm not really good looking or anything, but I have a great, my day game is great. I'm charismatic, and also my Instagram helps me a lot with that. And every guy should invest and take it seriously into an Instagram. Do a photo
Hmm.
shooting, do a coaching, also maybe, how to text girls on Instagram, things like that. Really important. I
Hmm.
would say. So the main takeaway is take this seriously because it's not gonna go away.
Hmm. Also, too, I think what is beneficial is getting a girl's opinion on your Instagram and figuring out like which photos can go and which photos don't do you any service or justice. I remember seeing a girl, this was like maybe 6 years ago. I saw this girl, and this was kind of when I didn't really know what photos really painted the best picture of you, where it was like this girl was like maybe a 4 or 5 out of 10, and I would see her swipe no on these male model looking guys, and I would be picking her brain like, why did you swipe no on this guy? Why did you swipe no on him? And she'd be like, oh, I didn't like the movie poster in his room, or I didn't like his shoelaces. Like it was something so little like that. Women have so many options and they're looking for reasons to disqualify you. So just getting an audit from a girl or someone that you know is incredibly beneficial, because a lot of times it's like I find guys most often are better looking in person than they are in pictures, and vice versa with women. So it's like a lot of guys just don't know and aren't posting and aren't intentional about the kind of photos that they're uploading. They're just lazy and they're like, oh, I need to upload a photo, and they upload a photo off their camera roll or where there's no real intention behind it.
Well, I want to piggyback off that because I think this is really important. So I'll give you guys some examples that I've seen, right?
Not right now. Yeah, appreciate it.
Instagram is very much a rebranding tool, all right? And I'll tell you what I mean. So if you're a 55-year-old and you take some random pictures, all right, because you're trying to get younger women or 50, 40, whatever, but you fail to portray through your Instagram, through your pictures, that you're not a 50-year-old, basically, right? And she still sees you as that 50-year-old, it's not going to work. All right. On the other side, I've seen it where a guy who's 50, he owns a strip club, he's actually hilarious, and all his posts are shitty. Like they're shitty posts, really. Comparatively speaking, right? With a professional that the other guy did. And they're all from his camera roll. He's like, yo, I'm having a like smell like a panty competition, a bunch of shit, right? And he had a ton of girls over him. Okay. But that's because girls didn't see him as a creepy 50, 55-year-old, right? They saw him as a strip club owner who's fun, who drives nice cars. And so the premise under your pictures, what it has to be is if you're going to rebrand, if you're that guy who's in his 45s, he's a C-level executive, stuff like that, you want to step out of that framing. You want to make sure that you rebrand successfully, right? It's not just about having nice pictures, because you can have a nice picture and you could still be that 50-year-old dude that failed to rebrand for those girls. All right. So I just want to make sure guys understand that when they get into it, which is super important. I see that mistake all the time where they think they're just going to take nice pictures and then they're going to rebrand, but the girl still sees them as some dude with, you know, not that many followers in his 50 and is trying to like fit in. And that's not how it works. So
Depends a
So
lot on the
really, I
girl.
mean, that's
Depends a lot on the girl
absolutely
you want,
perfect.
right?
What it comes down to is good photography and a good profile, especially, is storytelling. So each photo individually tells a story on its own. What is supposed to be happening here? What are the dots that we're trying to connect? But then as a profile as well, does this photo belong next to this one? What do they say when they're next to each other? And I think that's why guys struggle with it, is because they don't come up with an archetype. They don't realize, who am I trying to tell the world that I am? What story am I trying to get people to believe? Is it the story that, yeah, I'm the weird 50-year-old who doesn't understand how to use Instagram? Or am I trying to tell the story that, yeah, I'm the fun, attractive, handsome dude who just happens to be a little bit older, happens to be a gray fox? You have to have a story and an archetype first.
Mm. And I think guys are so logical and direct sometimes, where it's like the only thing I can really think of right now, just as an example, is back to that like jacked example, right? Like, oh, I want to show the world, or I want to show girls that I'm jacked and I've been putting work at the gym, right? So they'll take that selfie in their bathroom where there's
Qualifying.
the toilet that's unflushed shit in it, right? Where it's like, okay, yeah, you're jacked, but like what you want to do is have a photo shoot that doesn't look like a photo shoot, if that makes sense. You
Yes.
want to get professional
Candid.
photos done where it doesn't seem try hard.
Real
Kinda
quick, I
clap.
want something I want to touch base on is I think a lot of guys underestimate just how bad their IGs are, right? And they're giving girls IGs and they're just getting fucking blown out left and right. You could have a bunch of good photos. I think Devin was saying this. You could have that one photo. I always like to say this of you and your uncle on that fishing trip from 2016, and it's fucking done. It's fucking cooked.
That's all it
Like,
takes.
yeah, like I do agree. Build your social media on the side, but if it's not up to par yet, right? Get the number, keep it to the number. After you smash, then you exchange IGs because then she already fucked. She will justify that bad photo from 2017 with your uncle, right? So, but I do agree, obviously, if you want to do it, work on your social media, but be honest with yourself. Be like, is this a fucking picture that conveys high value, doing something cool, or is it just shit?
Yeah, but you have to understand, most of these guys don't understand. That's why it's called blind spots. They don't even know what they're doing wrong, right? So like when you start a game and when you don't have that character and you don't know what you're doing, then your instinctive is telling you to be a nice guy and that this is a good photo. You don't understand that you have a weak body language. If someone is telling you, hey bro, look, this is what you're doing right, and look, your shoulders are like this and your head is like nice guy like this, then of course they understand, but most guys don't understand what they're doing
It's
wrong.
true.
Yeah,
It's like Devin was saying, guys you ever been into a male public restroom and then you open the door and then there's a shit in there because some fucking idiot didn't flush it. That is what a lot of men are like. Most guys are probably fucking retarded as far as we're concerned. It's like they're so unaware. They can't even flush a fucking toilet, or like even if it doesn't flush after the first flush, flush it again. It's like these things are so basic. It's like when you should have learned this when you're like 4 years old or some shit. It's just hilarious how dumb so many guys are. I'm not here to like roast
I mean, to be honest,
humanity in general, but
branding is not something that most guys are taught. Like, most guys are never going to think about, okay, what does my personal image look like? They're never trying to craft that character, and that is why a lot of guys
here's what I'm
struggle with
saying.
dating in general. That's not just an Instagram problem. That's actually just a dating problem. It's like you guys need to define, okay, what is this character that I'm playing, and does the character that I am playing now deserve the kind of results that I want? If not, then the being that is you needs to pick a new external character.
You have to kind of see what women are seeing, because as men, we see there's a shit in the toilet that another man left behind. We don't realize that a lot of men are really nasty out there. And like the dating experiences that these women you deal with have had in the past, it's filled with nasty shit that's way more nasty than us, our smaller experience of dealing with nasty men, because for us it's just like, oh, we just see a shit in the toilet or some drunk asshole, but for them they get harassed frequently. There are guys whistling at them on the streets. There are weirdos saying weird fucking things all the time, judgment from all directions. This shit gets pretty crazy, so it's kind of hard for men in general to just imagine the kind of bullshit that women really go through on a regular, frequent basis. It's just completely insane once you get a little peek through that window through some female friends.
Yeah, 100%. If you have that mentality of like, okay, women are looking for reasons to disqualify you because they have so many potential options, whether she's a 3 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10, right? Like, don't give her a reason to disqualify you. Present yourself in the best possible light. And again, yeah, don't give her that reason.
Alrighty, let's jump on to the next one. What do you say or do when a girl says she has a boyfriend?
If you're
Or love pursue.
Completely ignore it and just keep talking.
no,
You can also get her Instagram later, post your stories, and then 3 months later she doesn't have a boyfriend anymore, you know? And it can also be a test. But at this point, I just ignore it.
if you're doing things right, even if she does have a boyfriend, she'll forget about him in a
Yeah.
second.
Exactly.
So
I would agree. It's one of those things where it's just like it depends on so many other factors. Like if you're going with a super direct approach and she then says, I have a boyfriend, that's basically just a rejection. And like maybe you can hit it with like a funny, like, oh, do you want to love her too kind of line? And if she laughs, okay, cool, you can stay in it. But generally, like what Jesse just said, most of the time, she's gonna avoid bringing the boyfriend up. If the boyfriend comes out later, he's real, but he doesn't matter. So just fucking ignore it. And generally, yeah, even with the girls who have boyfriends, okay, cool, throw them onto the Instagram, put them on the nurture list. They'll see the stories, and then yeah, when they are single, okay, cool, hit them up, or hey, bring them to your social circle stuff. That's all totally fine.
I like that for sure list.
The nurture list, yeah. So sales.
Dude, I'm actually I'm dropping a YouTube video later today that's literally just breaking down dating as a funnel. I think it's the exact same process.
So that's what I use Snapchat for. It's my version of the nurture. So there we go.
Dude, it's perfect. No, Instagram is a CRM, bro. It's so awesome. It is a CRM that literally lets you nurture leads. You can find leads on it too, so you can meet new girls on Instagram, and then you can also direct message them. It's literally like the perfect tool for dating. It's
Yes. The opposite. I think if you're good at game, you'll kind of get the opposite, where women will come up to you, not just randomly, but they'll drop in and say, they'll just drop in the information saying, I'm single, or something along those lines, if your game is good. So you'll get the opposite, my observation. Maybe it depends, but yeah, any other comments on this?
Real quick, yeah. So like, if you want to get the truth from them, right, you have to actually wait until the girl's hooked and really interested in you to screen that question out. And when you screen that out properly, then you'll have the truth. When she's hooked.
Dude,
If
girls
you do it too early, you risk rejection.
girls are so out there nowadays that they will, I mean, out there like promiscuous, at least some of them, that they'll say, yeah, I have a boyfriend, but I cheat. They'll say shit like that anyway.
well, okay, to be honest, every girl has a boyfriend. Like every girl that you talk to has some guy who thinks that he's her boyfriend, or she has a guy that she's seeing, but like if the right guy comes along, she would ditch him for. So like just assume that every girl that you talk to has a guy or several in her life.
I also think a lot of guys are just socially very bad in general, but like they're bad at reading body language. It's all about how something is said, right? Like if she's saying it like this, like, you have a boyfriend. Or she's like, well, I have a boyfriend, and so what are you up to tonight? Right? Like,
What
it really
the fuck is that voice?
That's good
My
acting.
God, I
Get
was like,
in the
what the
titties.
fuck?
I almost started flirting back, bro.
Yeah, if you could observe how she's saying it, right, as opposed to just what she's saying.
That is such an accurate portrayal. Do you have a sister or something? What the fuck? That caught me so off guard. I was like, why am I being turned on right now?
Hit the perfect pitch.
Alrighty. Any other step on this? Or let's pick another one. Let's see. start, let's just go for how do you know when it's the right time to escalate during that game?
I mean, like pulling or touching her or
Yes, there's three ways to
escalation
escalate.
and
So you
yeah.
actually escalate physically, verbally, and logistically. So it's sometimes it's just a feeling, like if she's giving you some sort of indicator of interest, cool. But like generally, as a rule, escalate early, escalate often, and rotate between those three. Because if you fall behind in any one area, like if you're making out with a girl hardcore in the same spot that you just walked up and talked to her like 10 minutes late earlier, it's kind of weird. It's kind of off-putting. So just make sure you're not lagging behind. If you are moving all over the place, but you're not talking about any sort of like if you're not future pacing, if you're not talking about anything sexual with her, if you're not even making those jokes, then again, it feels weird. So you just have to rotate between the three and start escalating right away, really.
Right. I love
And
that
listen,
because
listen to this, guys. This is interesting. My client texted me this because it has to do with escalation. Also danced with a Colombian girl and a French girl. The Colombian girl was so good at dancing, I called reggaeton and involves a lot of grinding. So we did that for a while, and then she went back to her friends after. Maybe should have lead more. So what do you think when the girls like completely grind on your dick until it's hard for like 30 minutes and then just walk away to their friends? Like what the fuck?
Logistically escalate.
Huh?
Hey,
He was measuring the size of his piece by grinding, and she was disappointed.
Yeah.
for some guys, I'm not one of those guys, but for some guys, 30 minutes of penis grinding is somewhat better than 10 seconds of actually having sex and ejaculating too quickly.
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? Like sometimes you go up to a girl and it directly goes hard and you grind and you even make out and everything, but then the girl just leaves. Happened so many times, or like sometimes when I'm practicing night game, I go out and I say I'm gonna kiss 4 girls today. And it happens quickly, right? You can do that. You can go out and say I kiss a couple of girls. But then it's not like a solid interaction really, because the escalation happens too quickly. Do you know when it's like over spiking the emotions basically, and you just do it as like to test your skills. And that's also what happens when you escalate too quickly with a girl. I think she kind of gets bored, or I don't know what's happening. What do
Me
She
you
and
guys?
my
knows
friend
she
were
could
actually
have
just
you.
having
That's the
this.
issue. Is like
Yeah.
you've answered that question in her mind of like, oh, does this guy like me? Is he into me? Could I get him if I wanted? And when she finds that out too early before she's decided that she does want you, that's the issue.
Yeah.
Me
It's
and my
also
friend
like,
were having this
what the
debate
fuck is
about
wrong
making
with
out
this
on the
guy?
field.
Does he not want me and shit like that? So it's like, oh, he's useless sometimes.
Me and my friend were just having this debate, and I see both schools of thought here, but I think it's a great question to ask you guys. It's kind of related to what we're talking about, but if you meet a girl, whether it's at a nightclub or on a date, do you make out with her on the date, like at the bar or wherever you are, or at the nightclub, or do you leave that intrigue till when you bring her back to your place? Right?
The
Do you
makeout
wait till she's back
specifically,
at
I
your
actually
place?
usually wait until like a second venue, or at least we've moved 1 or 2 times. So especially like on a date, I mean, my routine is usually we go to the first spot, we're having a good time, and like there's that flirty sexual vibes. We've escalated verbally, but there's usually a reason why we can't, like, hey, if we're sitting across from each other at a table, we're not escalating with the kissing and everything. And then when we're leaving that first venue to go to the second venue, whether that's a second drink or whether that's just straight back to my place, depending on the vibe, that's when I'm going for the kiss. It's after we've left that venue together as a couple, I'll go for the kiss then. But I like to have a little bit of tension, a little bit of like fun before then. I don't know about you guys.
It depends on the girl. I think every girl is definitely different. So, as for anybody watching this, if if you're uncalibrated, you're low emotional intelligence. Not saying autistic or anything, but you're just like inexperienced with women. You don't know what it feels like to have a woman into you. I would say don't even go for the escalation, because then you're going to build bad habits. Okay, for anybody watching this, when you hear, again, for anybody watching this, when you hear us talk, like all the guys in this panel and other panels, we're talking from a point of experience, which is almost privilege, is learn what it feels like to have a girl banter with you and kind of lead the conversation, right? And kind of escalate on you and those things, and aim for that first before you're like, oh, I got to escalate, I got to do this, I got to do that. Because a lot of times what happens, especially with the old school thought, is that you just come off creepy, right? I have a lot of guys that go to the club and they try to escalate because they're so uncalibrated. And then the girl goes to the bathroom and she's like, oh my God, that creep's trying to touch me. And what do girls do at the bathroom? They all talk with each other. And then so by the time 10 girls leave the bathroom, 10 girls know you're a creep. They all go to the group and now the whole club knows you're a creep, right? So I would avoid escalation until you master down, again, the flirting, right? If you see a girl kind of like really into you, those type of things. And then once you see that, okay, now you can start thinking about escalating. A lot of you guys are running before you even start walking, okay? So it's kind of like
super good point. It has to be calibrated. Has to be
That's the
calibrated.
thing, guys. You probably also seen this on boot camps. I see this all the time. So you teach a guy that is, shy and doesn't know how to talk to girls. He doesn't want or feel worthy of escalating at all, because that he would have to escalate now in order to move the conversation in the right direction. But he's not doing it because he doesn't have the skills down of holding a conversation or not running out of things to say, right? You know it, right? Because when you're a MPOA or however you want to call it, and you see a client, you know exactly, okay, this is what he is doing wrong, or this is what he's doing right. This is the dynamic and the energy that's missing. And the escalation is more or less something that you have to earn in the process because you don't feel really worthy of it in the beginning when you're learning game, right?
I also think a lot of guys, they think very direct and logical again. So from talking to so many guys, I know that like when they think escalate, they think, okay, I have to let the girl with what I'm saying know that I'm sexually interested in her and interested in her in one way, shape, or form. Whereas like escalating, right? Like when I'm in the nightclub, when I'm at the clubs, technically I'm escalating on the open because what I'll do is I'll escalate by putting my hand on her shoulder and leaning in to her ear so she can hear what I'm saying. Because first, I'm taller. I can't understand what someone's saying unless, like I'm 3 inches away from their face. So you want to set that precedent from the second you go up and talk to her. You're not like approaching her from 6 feet away, like, hi, how's it going? Right? Like you want to make sure it's like, and to add on to that, like what I like to do is I approach girls, even if they haven't made eye contact with me, I approach them as if they've just batted their hair, done the eyelashes and given me that indicator of interest. She's
Do the voice
already
again.
pulled me over and it's like, okay, well, here I am.
I will say too that a lot of guys think of escalation as like this big put on thing. It should mostly be subtext. So you don't even necessarily always notice it. It's just subtle, little incremental. Okay, we're a little bit more man to woman. We're a little bit more man to woman. We're a little bit more sexual. And it's also an ebb and flow. So you're generally the first one, almost always the first one to pull back. So like if you go for the kiss, you're pulling back from the kiss first. There's still room for this push pull for her to chase a little bit. And it doesn't feel like you're just go, 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 pushing for an outcome. It just feels like it's natural happening in the moment. And generally it should be.
And
Yeah,
plausible deniable. It should be plausible deniable, So for example, you say, oh, what is this on her shirt? Oh, nice material. That it feels like it's part of the conversation. That helps a lot.
Yeah, I actually have a really good first-hand experience with this. When I was learning like 10 years ago, when I was on a coaching course with some guy, and I got blown out like 30 fucking times in a row. I'm not kidding you. And I was like, what the fuck am I doing wrong? And you know what it was? I was escalating way too quickly. I would like go up to the girl, literally like grab her like within fucking a minute. Boom. And it really is truly all about being calibrated. Because a lot of guys take it as you have to escalate fast, and they're not even fucking thinking how the girl feels. When you want to fuck a lot of girls, it matters how she feels, right? So if your verbals are on point, you can actually wait for the escalation a little bit, right? Because you could always add it in later physically, but once you come off as that creep, it's almost impossible to gain that ground back.
Killer point, dude. I fell into the same shit. Like when I was first learning all this stuff, I definitely escalated without as much concern for how the girl was going to interpret it. And escalating in an uncalibrated way, just like you guys have been saying, it will kill
Yeah,
you.
but that's
So,
how you become good at it. You have to
yeah, exactly.
dreams,
It's a weird double-edged sword.
Yeah,
That's
like that's the thing in game. You have to do all the mistakes. Even if you're getting a coach to report back to him. and then he can tell you what you're doing wrong, but you still have to go through all the mistakes. And you have to get all the experience yourself, because if you don't have that, then the client doesn't have the realizations. He doesn't know what he's doing right, what he's doing wrong, and he doesn't have the reference experience, right? And that's why it will always take a couple months, couple years to really get good at game, right? Of course, you can get results much quicker, but they're more like accidental, especially in the beginning.
So I think there's mistakes and then there's bad habits for sure. But if a guy goes in with, you got to have like, I mean, at least the way I approach life is with a perfectionist mindset. Like, I'm going to do this right. I'm going to learn to do it right. And then I'm going to implement doing it the right way. Okay. And so again, before you even worry about escalation, you've got to get that flirting down, right? You got to get that hooking, make sure she's hooked on you down before you even think about escalating. So I think that's where you fail, because once you get those two things, it's almost 90% guaranteed most times that she's going to do the escalation on you. Right. That's why when you guys see naturals, right, out there in the street and stuff, they look so nonchalant because the girls are doing all the work, because the girl's hooked and he's a good flirt. And so it looks like she's into it. She's doing the escalation, right? Hands on his chest, all that shit. So once you get good at that, right, which is truly becoming a natural, then start worrying about, okay, now I can double down on the escalation, right? Now I could do this. Now I could grab her by the hand and lead her, do all this other stuff. But unless the girls you're talking to look like they're talking to a natural, then don't even worry about escalating. Okay, so I wouldn't even advise anyone to escalate until you get to that point. So build that habit of hooking girls, being a good flirt, and then start learning to escalate, right? Obviously, there's times where it's proper, right? Like at the loud venue where you kind of like have to grab them by the shoulder and lean in a little bit, stuff like that, which is not necessarily sexual escalation or anything like of interest. It's just, friendly touching, I would call it. But I would just build that habit first before you even start running, guys. And I'm emphasizing this so much because I see that be the downfall of so many guys.
Yeah, so to clarify, escalate early and escalate often means verbal first. Verbal is the first place that you're escalating. You're creating that flirtatious vibe. That needs to be there before you guys start going for physical touch. Like physical and logistical are later down the line. They're really important, but they're later down the line. She needs to be hooked before you're really going for those.
You got to be hooked in the first 2 or 3 minutes of
yeah.
To answer someone's question or I can't remember who it was, but personally, at a certain point I just stopped escalating in the club and just let the sexual tension build and just take her home, because what actually matters is taking her home.
Yeah.
So I wonder if there are some similar perspectives around that.
I'm going to tell you one thing. Hey, I fingered it. This girl comes up to me. I have a video of it. I kiss one girl, then directly after kiss her friend, and then she goes completely crazy and she's like, takes my hand, finger me. and I finger her in the club, and then the bottle service guy comes and I give him my credit card while fingering the girl. Absolutely crazy. And I pay for the bottles because I was running a boot camp, and this girl was just like so crazy, and she wanted me to finger her in the club, but then directly after went home with another guy and her friend as well. I think he stole my threesome. I'm telling you, if you're over escalating, it doesn't work, right? So it was so crazy. It's like once the girl has what she wants from you or the extreme external validation, then she's gone. And then she's, like you preheated her, you made her horny for the next guy. That's why also it takes a little bit to until there's the pull time in the club, right? Because in the beginning, everyone is getting to know each other. Then everyone is drinking and getting heated up. And then when the vibe is really right, there's like this short amount of time where you can actually pull. And it depends on the venue when that time is. But that was
so it sounds like nobody here really escalates beyond maybe a kiss physically in the club. I think we're kind of all on the same page on that. Like I definitely don't kiss in the club or at the first venue on a date.
If you want to get no kissing.
Yeah. At the club, what I find is I won't kiss unless it's like she's literally like just staring at you and you say something and she doesn't even respond and she's staring into your eyes. Then maybe I'll kiss her for like a second and pull away and just, tell me more about you, right? Like get her to keep talking, where it was like, you guys said it really well, where it's like, yeah, pull back first. But yeah, I like to leave that mystery and that intrigue for longer. You don't want to give her the whole thing right then and there. You don't want to show her the whole movie, right? Give her a little trailer and That's it.
I just think it's funny how you guys set up your webcams. It's like Brandon is like an old man in the car, and Devin is like he's talking to a woman just like chilling casually. And Jordan is like what was the guy's name? Jonathan Breaks or something. He's like in that TV.
Yeah.
Have you ever whatever the fuck that guy was saying? It's
Have you
kind of
ever
funny how
kissed a
it's-
girl in the club?
Have you ever fingered a woman while giving your credit card to pay for some bottles of alcohol? How fucking random. I don't think I have. But let's go full circle with this. Kind of discussed this in detail earlier, but since we're kind of attached to this right now, what kinds of things do you say or do in order to pull for night game?
I just invite them back. Be like, hey, so contrary to like the no kissing and stuff, if you guys, we have this video, like this compilation before you join our school community, you know, it takes a page. It's all me getting makeouts and Brandon getting makeouts and like in Scottsdale at High Five, like girls on my lap, just making out. I know you know that place, Bottle Blonde, all those places. So I do make out, I do those things, but the second it starts getting really heavy, right? Like she's like jumping on me. She's basically biting my face off. That's when I go, all right, you want to go home? And they're like, yeah. So it's kind of like at the peak of the moment, right? So that's how I do it. I know I'm interested to hear everyone else because I know you guys don't make out and stuff like that. But the times where I haven't been that intense, I always just make the ask because I'm confident that she's into me and I'm confident that I basically ran the proper game, right? So I just make the ask all the time. Be like, all right, let's go back to my place. There was a time where I only had a mattress and like block next to it. That's it. That's like all they had in my place. And she was down. So
Mexican game.
yeah, so it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't Dallas, but it doesn't matter as long as if she's into you, you don't have to make a pretext. If it makes you feel more comfortable to kind of make that plausible deniability, go for it. But I'd rather you feel comfortable and start developing that comfortability to just make the ask.
I think another important thing to add on to is making sure that you're also addressing the friends. And what I mean by that is not alienating them, not acknowledging their presence, right? Because at the end of the day, it's like women are impressionable. You know, they'll go to the bathroom and they'll have that board meeting, right? Where it's like, oh, should I go home with this guy? And then, you know, you want the friends to be on your side, right? So make a good impression on them as well, too.
Board meeting. This sounds so funny. Broad meeting.
Hey, women have WhatsApp groups. They have WhatsApp groups with their friends, and then you text them a weird text, and then they take a screenshot and send it to their friends and discuss it. I'm telling you, it's crazy.
You say it's like, hey, if you already share your location with your friends, they know you're coming with me, right? And then they're like, oh yeah, let's do that. Right. So that's a great way to make sure that the friends are addressed right before the pool. Last thing you want is your friends freaking the fuck out, right? And ruining everything. So
Yeah,
I
you
think
can also
I think our version of the board meeting would be we just go to the bathroom and we're like, okay, let me get my lawyer and this expert on whether or not she's transgender. It's like that's the stuff we gotta do.
That's
It's
important.
these days. So it's
Look at
kind
the
of
Adam's
funny.
apple.
Yeah.
Yeah, so to
One
be
of the-
clear on again on seeding the poll, like at the end of the day, she knows why the fuck she's coming back to your place. You know why the fuck she's coming back to your place. It really is kind of a thing for like the next day when she tells people about it, when she tells her friends, she kind of gets to just be like, oh yeah, it just happened. Yeah, I used to have a chinchilla. Like that was the go-to was, oh yeah, okay, you should come meet my chinchilla. And every girl in the world wants to meet a chinchilla, so it was easy. But it could also be like the wine or whatever else. It's just like she gets to tell her friends, oh well, all I did was go back to meet his chinchilla, and then whoa, how did that
His
happen?
his
And
chinchilla
the
lives
thing is,
in
the
a
friends know that too,
gingerbread
but
house.
they still just get to give her that like, oh girl, it just happened kind of vibe, and that's just it's the main reason that I do it. It makes it a little bit smoother. It just helps out, whatever.
If you want a mega reason to pull women and just every woman say yes, just build a gingerbread mansion and have your chinchilla live in there. Who do you want to come home with me and see my chinchilla that lives in a fucking gingerbread mansion? Fuck yeah.
Yeah,
And how many
I want
guys
to
are
see
gonna
it.
make that
I'm
request?
flying down to Peru now.
That's so unique though, because how many guys are gonna say that, right? Where it's like the girl has probably, let's be honest, never heard that or very rarely heard that request before, right? Make you stand out from Johnny Average or Joe Blow.
Here in Peru, Pet stores don't have guinea pigs because the guinea pigs are in the restaurants. It's actually food for Peruvians. So whenever I went to a pet store in North America or Europe, I would just say, be careful with my wife. She's Peruvian. Hide your guinea pigs. She's gonna eat them. They're pretty tasty.
When I was in Lima, I remember seeing that on like every single menu, and I couldn't do it. Where it was just like you could see the pain in the eyes, where it's just like on the plate. And I was
I'll
like, how
send
does
you
that-
some
that does not
photos
look
later.
appetizing. Yeah, oh, it's gross. It does not look appetizing.
You can see its legs, and they're moving on, moving on. Any other perspectives on this?
Yeah. I could drop some pulling value real quick. First thing for guys who want to pull a lot, if you want to pull a lot, get a good fucking wingman. Okay? You can attack 2 sets so fucking efficiently. If her friend is down with your boy, you're gonna pull way more. That's number one. Number two, if you're newer to pulling, I think you just letting the venue close the situation is fucking awesome. So you guys are kind of just chilling at the end of the night. It's ending. All right, let's go by me. That's like the easiest thing you could do. And then another thing, I think this was actually one of the big downfalls of the PUA community is they were obsessed with isolation, isolating the girl. Me and Jesse, we do not teach that, right? In fact, we're proactive on winning the friends over. When I'm pulling, the girl's like, yo, go with Brandon, go with him, right? Proactively taking care of the friend situation, not hiding her off in a dark corner, throwing her on her shoulder and running out of the fucking venue.
Huge.
You know, think about how weird that sounds.
Yeah. I also don't like the term isolation because it sounds creepy when you really think
Yeah.
about it. So at Game Global and the Game Glossary, we simply recommend one-on-one because that's the reality of it. Instead of you're isolating her from like kidnapping or something, you're simply having a one-on-one. But I like what you're saying. That's good.
The other thing, when in doubt, also just stay in set. So yeah, like Brandon said, like, yeah, sometimes just let the club close, especially at the Scottsdale. Everything closes at 2 a.m. People still want to go do something. So then it's just super logical. Like, oh yeah, club's closing, let's go to mine. And it works like a charm. So just stay in set. If you're into the girl, just stay with her and try to make it happen.
Ready. Shall we jump on to the next one? What are some of your night game openers?
The hand of God.
Yeah.
You
yeah.
you look at it. Yeah, it's a compliance test.
Come with me if you want to live.
Yeah, so look, you look at the girl, and then you just hold your hand like this, and you look her in the eyes, and you say nothing. You just smile and think, I'm gonna bang you tonight. And then when she takes your hand, then you can just pull her in, and then whisper something in her ear, or just pull her here, and then you can do it with her friends as well. The cool thing is, if you're doing it with a group, then all of them come. Or you do this, you come here, and then tell them to come. That also works.
Anyone else?
Love it.
I'll hop in. My favorite opener, I almost use it every fucking time I pull. Indirect, I just go, what you get to drink? Literally, that's my fucking opener every fucking time. And then I riff off that. She says tequila. I'm like, oh, you're trying to have fun tonight? Boom, boom, boom. Stack on top of that and just go right into it. I know a lot of guys like going direct, but I think direct openers will work better if the girl is on your SMV level or a little bit lower. If she's a really fucking bombshell, I think indirect is for sure the way to go. I like indirect in general better anyway.
Yeah, me too.
I tend to go with opinions or labels. There's never split the difference behind me. I love just labeling, especially for groups like, oh, you guys seem whatever. And that's just a genuine in that moment. Oh, you guys seem like this. But yeah, the opinion openers are they're great too, especially like if you're out with your boy and you guys do actually have a genuine disagreement on something. I just love turning that over to girls and like, because you're always arguing with your boys about some bullshit and you're just like, hey, what do you guys think about this? And then all of a sudden you're engaging the entire group. So yeah, I would agree. Generally indirect, especially for night game, is the way to go.
I like both of those. The funny thing is though, so I tell this to all my guys, all my students, is once you close a girl, ask her every time, yo, do you remember how I started the conversation? Or do you remember how the conversation started? They're going to say no. Okay. 10 out of 10 times they're going to say no. So to everybody watching this, the opener doesn't matter. Your delivery and how it makes them feel right off the bat does. Okay. I don't care what.
Yeah.
It's delivery, how they feel when you say it. Okay. So hence, if you go in direct and you're a fucking 4, no offense, if you're a 4 and she's a 10, she's gonna feel creeped out. Because she feels creeped out, you probably delivered it like shit. She's gonna blow you out, right? So again, you gotta maneuver those 2 dimensions when you're doing the opener. But if you ask every girl you close, like I have, do you remember how the conversation got started? They'll always say no. No, I don't remember. I think you said this or that. They never fucking remember. So it doesn't matter. It's all in your head. Just go do the approach, get that experience in, right? It doesn't matter how you do it, but just make her feel good, all right, and deliver it proper. You'll be fine with that.
Yeah,
How
a
it makes
great
them
point.
feel. I love
Delivery
that.
is key.
Yeah. And if you're delivering it, like you could have the fanciest pickup line. You could watch like a James Bond movie and take one of his lines and use it. But if it's coming off in the wrong way, if it's coming off like you're reading off a script or you're trying to impress her versus like you're saying it to see like, okay, who is this? I don't really know this person. I want to get to know her more. And you're not coming at it from a place of asking for permission and you're not seeking approval. That's so important.
I think just a general checklist would be to smile, make good eye contact, speak like what you are saying is fucking important. Like you want to be heard. Don't ever try to like come in at a low volume. And then just kind of have the internal frame of like, I'm here to have a good time. I'm here to have fun. I want you to have a better night as well. And if you guys are going through that, then yeah, the actual words that come out of your mouth really don't matter anywhere near as much.
And I also think there's a good balance between being a dickhead and a doormat. There's a good balance between being like too overly like Mr. Friendly and too overly like tough guy alpha, right? Whereas like some guys will never smile the whole time they're talking to a girl, whereas other guys will just like get all giddy and nonstop smile and like they have this permanent smile on their face the whole time, right? So a mixture between both of these things is great.
These are the worst pictures on Instagram when they like smile too much.
I was gonna say that
super nice guy. The super nice guy.
We were saying about that earlier with the Instagram photos where the guy is like here's how I see it, at least. It's like the guy is smiling like he's never been in a photo with a woman before, and the women are just like maybe they're smiling, maybe they're not. But the point is like you should not look happier than they are. So I personally, when there are photos of me with a group of women or just one woman or whatever, I just don't I'm not a smiley fucking person anyway. Like I'm goofy. You'll see me laughing and having a happy face and everything. But I got a big nose which hides my mouth a lot of the time, and I'm not a smiler in photos. I really don't give a shit. So I like to be, and I prefer to be, and I just am normal poker face in photos. It's like I want to convey that I don't give a shit. No, it's not that I want to. It's just like I really don't give a shit. And my general advice is that you shouldn't look excited that you're finally in a picture with some women. Yay, I can post this on Instagram. It's like field reports back in the day when people would attach a photo to it. It's like they wrote this field report like it's the first time they got laid in like 2 years, and they're so proud of it. It's like, okay. And then the next field report doesn't come for a while. So there's a particular association with overexcitedness sometimes.
Yeah.
So
I think
Yeah, you
smart
don't want to be
people smiling.
giddy. For the pictures specifically, look away from the camera just a little bit. It makes it look more like it specifically doesn't break the fourth wall. So if you guys watch movies, you'll notice that unless it's intentional, they look directly at the camera because they want you to know that it's a movie. Generally, they're always looking just a little bit away. That's a big one. And then yeah, really the only time that you're smiling is like a little smirk is cool. Or like if somebody catches a candid laugh, those are great. Like you can be having a good time. It's just that like whatever, especially if you're trying to show off girls, which I don't think you should do on your Instagram unless again it's like very, very candid and the girls are obviously more into it than you are. But unless that's the case, just like, hey, a laugh while you're genuinely laughing, candid moment, that's totally fine. Apart from that, yeah, pretty stoic, maybe a smirk at most.
So here in Peru, it's a big thing for people to just have group dinners, and they always take a fucking photo. For me, it's the most annoying thing because it's so awkward trying to take a photo of people facing 4 different directions. So then they gotta like lean, and their posture is so awkward, and It's like the most annoying kind of photo to set up. So what I like to do, I naturally just position myself in whatever seat makes sense for me. So I'm generally normally in a favorable place anyway, but instead of smiling, leaning, and giraffing, as I call it, and all that stuff, I like to do something different. So if we're eating, I'm just going to continue eating, but do it really sarcastically. So it at least has my twist on the photo and just looks funny, instead of being like everyone else. But there's this funny photo I saw years ago. And I was just showing Mystery this. Mystery, Michael Sartain, and Dan Bilzerian are having dinner, and they're doing a group photo having dinner. And Dan Bilzerian is just like eating and not even look at the camera. He really doesn't give a shit. So I'm like, Dan's doing the same thing, but like even more extreme. He just doesn't fucking acknowledge it at all. So it's just fucking hilarious to me. Anyway, any other comments on openers?
I went out with Mystery. I met him here in Mexico. And how Mystery's game is really important because he's like so tall. He's like 2-3 meters tall, it looks like. And he's pretty much doing magic tricks. And then he has like 15 girls standing around him. I don't know like how exactly he's choosing the girl he wants to go home with, but it's very interesting. Mystery is extremely charismatic, and the way he speaks and uses pronunciation and his voice and tonality is very interesting. Artist. He really is an artist. He's like a magician kind of artist guy.
I think there's a great lesson in that, to really like emphasize the traits and your characteristics as best as you can, because a lot of people will try to emulate somebody else they saw. So like a lot of people will go around wearing like the boa hat or, you know, whatever Mystery style is, but that's what works for him. He's a magician, and you know, you have to do what works for you. Enhance
For
what
that,
you've
I
already
really,
got.
I mean, an exercise that I have guys do a lot is to like put together a vision board of who their ideal is. So I still have one of these. It's like all of these different aspirational role models, and you put them all together, and you're like, okay, cool. I'm the amalgamation of all these. I like what this guy does here. I like what this guy does here. I don't like that part, and like that's the character that you're going after. Is the best parts of all of your role models and all the people you admire.
Ooh, like that.
Next question. What was your biggest sticking point in game and how did you overcome it?
Mm. Mine was being too much of a stand-up comedian, because I know my strengths. I'm very good at being witty in the moment, making people laugh. But sometimes I would take that too far, right? Where it's like, it felt like a bit. It felt like everything that I was doing was just to try to make the girl laugh. And there was no like realness to the conversation. So what I found was like doing that, yeah, being funny is great, but also slipping in some realness. And almost, I feel like a lot of guys get this term, they bend this out of shape, right? Like they don't understand what this really means, is being vulnerable, which really means like just showing authenticity, I think, right? Where it's like not being afraid to sing the Hillary Duff song that comes on the radio, and not trying to be like Mr. Tough Guy all the time, or just letting her know something about like you, right? Being a little more serious in certain moments, if that makes sense. Not being too much of a dancing monkey, as they call it.
I mean, I just didn't know what to do and say. Of course, in the beginning, when you learn game, you know, everyone that learns game has some like limitations or limiting beliefs or like things out of their childhood that they're insecure about. For example, I was like a Christian. I grew up in a Christian household, so I was framed as sex is something bad, you know. So I always had like shame and guilt around sex, stuff like that. You can always have that, but then on a game level, I never knew what to do and say. So for me, it was really important to have a certain structure to the approach, because from RSD, I never learned it. They always like be yourself, energy, all of that stuff, but like what to do and what to say on a physical escalation level, the energy and what to do, that was the biggest sticking point for me. But once I understood that, then I got really good at game.
Also, that women do want to be approached. Like women want to tell their friends that, yeah, they met a guy in the organic banana aisle of the grocery store. Like, yeah, cool, I met a guy on Tinder, but like, yeah, there's some women that watch those romantic comedies where guys are meeting, they're meeting at airports and they're meeting at wherever, right? They do want to be approached.
That's what I mean, right? So these are all the things that we learn in our childhood. Don't talk to strangers, don't talk too loud, all of the things that your parents tell you. So we get like this program in our childhood that we shouldn't be social, we shouldn't talk to everyone. And then we have that until we need to make a approach or to meet women, right? But if you have these limiting beliefs, then you're just never gonna do it, because first comes the mind, and then your body, right? Your body is doing the actions, what you think. So
Yeah, that whole like stranger danger, like don't talk to people is probably some of the most harmful advice I think that we're given.
Completely
Like,
agree.
hey, obviously, as a little kid, when you're like 4 years old, yeah, like be cautious, don't go into the guy's van with the candy. But like, I think even at a young age, kids, the best way to avoid having the kid go eat the candy is to socialize them, to have them talk to strangers with adult supervision. I think that's just, I mean, for me personally too, that was a huge thing that I struggled with was, yeah, just giving myself that permission, getting out of the comfort zone, being social. Like, I don't know. That was a huge piece for me. Honestly, I
I
was
think just
nervous.
just like knocking off the people pleaser act, right? Like there was a
Yeah.
time where it's like I try to like, try to get everybody to like me and say what I thought they wanted to hear. But the reality is like not everybody's gonna like you. You're not gonna vibe with everybody, whatever, right? It's better to get down to that. Like as cliche as it sounds, I would rather be hated for who I am than loved for who I'm not. There's some people that are just not gonna vibe, and that's fine, whatever, on to the next.
I'm so anti-social norms. It's just great. I got so many examples. Like here in Peru, it's super normal for people to, once they go to a party. I went to one yesterday, and they just like give cheek kisses to every single woman there and like handshake with every man or whatever. I gave up doing that because there are like parties every week in Peru. I'm like, I'm tired of this shit. I'm just gonna walk in the room and do my fucking thing. I don't say goodbye to people. I just leave. Like maybe I will in some instances, but I'm the kind of person who enters the room, leaves the room. I'll see you whenever I see you. And if there's a group photo, I probably don't give a shit about it. And I'm just gonna do something differently. I'm just naturally against social norms. And this was way before anything about game for me, but it's just this funny thing. Personally, where this question is concerned, I had a problem growing up with speaking. I had a very weak voice, and I still do. If I drink orange juice, it pretty much kills my voice completely. So, and if I talk too much, it kills my voice. But I'm way more able to speak now. We've been going for nearly 3 hours. I did a 4.5 hour interview with Mystery one time, or actually twice now. And I would have never been able to speak for so long years ago because I had naturally such a weak voice partially because I didn't talk much when I was growing up. But to fix that, all I had to do was just go every Friday and some Saturdays to the nightclub, go to the smoking section on the outside and just have conversations with people pretty much all night. And sometimes I would just like, okay, let me just refresh, go in the dance floor part, and then come back in 5 minutes, and then nice reset. But yeah, after a good few weeks, I finally was able to know what to say, never have a problem with running out of things to say, and my voice became so much stronger because before I would just stumble over my words or be super quiet or just have a super weak voice and just like lose my voice within 10 minutes or something. So maybe that's not my biggest sticking point from back then, but probably a pretty significant one, at least with a very simple solution. And that solution was taking action and talking, really practice. And that's it. Any
I think
ever
it's so important not to pedestalize anybody, right? Whether it's the really hot girl or the captain of the football team when you're in high school, right? Like all too often we make these assumptions about people that we think are successful or really attractive, but we have no idea what's going on in their personal life. Everybody is filled with flaws and insecurities, and for us to go up and not want to talk to someone because we think we're not good enough, is not beneficial, right? So it's like the old saying goes, treat them like a celebrity and they'll treat you like a fan, whether it's Leonardo DiCaprio or the guy that's cleaning the toilets at McDonald's, right? Talk to everybody as a person, right? As a fellow
I
human.
would say, especially with women, I mean, there's really no way to know how the girl is going to react to you, what she's going to think of you, until you just go up and make the approach. Just talk to them, see where it goes. Like if the guy's watching do literally nothing else, just literally today, as soon as you can, go find a pretty girl and just say hello and be okay with the fact that it's not going to be perfect and you might fuck up, but just talk to her because you can fuck up, you can make an imperfect approach, and you can still meet the love of your life. You can still change your entire life with that one conversation, even if it's not perfect.
And I think a lot of guys read too much into the signs, the IOIs, the green lights beforehand, where it's like sometimes a girl will be playing with her hair, batting her eyelashes, and you go over and she's a complete bitch, right? Whereas other times she won't even see you, first of all, and you go up and it's just like she lights up like this, right? So it's like you don't know until you approach. So the more you read into it or overthink before you wait on that sign of indicator of interest or wait on that green light, the more you're going to be overthinking it. You're going to be in your head, and don't try to be perfect, right? It's better to do it and completely fuck up than to not do it, right?
Yeah, I think it helps a lot to have that mindset that you don't want, that you don't need anything from the girl, and that it's completely okay if she dislikes you.
Okay.
Yeah, if you have that frame, then all problems are solved. Seriously, if you never lose your frame, if you know, then
I
that's
had
how I
a
think. I don't want anything from you. I don't need anything from you, and I don't care if you like me. And then all the girls like me. That's why.
I had a sales mentor who literally used to carry around a Q-tip in his pocket every day, and that was to remind himself to quit taking it personally. Every single day, that man walked around with a Q-tip because of that.
Huh.
It's like, okay, the
But
rejection, it doesn't fucking
Holy
matter.
shit. Yeah, that's cool. Quit taking it personally. Yeah. So many things out of your control. But also at that on that point too, I also think it's important every time I am talking to somebody or going up and cold approaching, I always think like, okay, how did I do? Was there things that I could have improved on? Could I have shown up with a different energy? Like I like to think, okay, yeah, there's so much out of my control, but what's in my control and how can I show up better the next time?
yeah, and just like if we're gonna be humanist about this, just remember we're talking to humans. You could have some beautiful conversations. It just makes everything worth it. And if even if you have some bad ones, like, oh, what are they gonna do? I used to be super paranoid. Like years ago, I was in like some hacker circles and real computer type shit. And I was paranoid that people would like someone would come to my house, open the door, and like kill me or something. But then at some point I got realistic and be like, nobody's gonna get on a fucking plane, fly all the way here, come to my house, and open the door and be like, yo, let me fucking kill you because of some argument on the internet or some stupid fucking reason or whatever. So your paranoia, is it from ignorance or is it from experience? Because those are two different things. And
Hmm.
if you're going to be paranoid from you're scared of talking to women, it's probably because you haven't really done it before. So actually immerse yourself in it instead of putting it off forever and ever and ever, because you're going to have beautiful conversations. And there's a guy who was saying this perfectly in the comments right here. Um, Linnell Turner says, talk to a lot of women without an agenda behind it. That is
Yes,
absolutely a great point
huge.
because it's indirect game essentially. If you have no agenda, um, if you're expecting something, you're just come off super fucking weird, like a sales guy
Yeah.
who's not really listening. Someone said that earlier, but incredibly huge difference in how to deal with this. So having no agenda, even though, yeah, you want to get laid, I get it, and stuff like that. But seriously, having no agenda, you're just being social and interacting with humans, just being social. Me and Devin talked about this before. It's so much easier. You're going to have beautiful conversations. That's it.
It's having no agenda with that particular girl.
Yeah.
Like, yes, in general, you have goals, you have aims, but when it comes to that person, that human being in front of you, you just want to make her night better. That's your agenda. You want to enjoy your time on this short time that we have on this planet, and that's your agenda, and that will lead to more results for sure.
That's one thing, right, that I always teach. You open the conversation, you build attraction, then there's the hook point, and then you figure out logistics. And based on the logistics, you think what you're gonna do with the girl. But you should never have an agenda. You should just pre-plan what you want to do, right? But you don't want to think, oh, I want to get the number, I want to take her home, because you don't know any of this until you figure out the logistics or screen the girl if she's even available, right? So that's why I always say you have to earn the next step of the conversation. So you have no agenda when you talk to the girl, and then you earn the next step. You know, you do the opener right, then you do the attraction right, then you do the hook point, you read her signals, then you figure out the logistics, and then based on the logistics, you can decide what you want to do with the girl. If you get her number, if you take her home, if you pull her, whatever.
Yeah. A lot of what we
Slightly
just
related,
said.
slightly tangential, but in the same vein of just talking to girls without an agenda, that will also fix a lot of the broken black pill and like toxic red pill ideologies that like, oh, girls just want guys who are 6 feet tall. They just want guys who
Oh,
make this amount
the
of money. Just
ideologies
fucking
of
talk
guys
to
who
girls.
aren't getting
Just talk.
laid.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all cope, man.
Oh,
Like, how can you watch
hate
such
it.
videos? to be and stay negative or what? What the fuck?
Yeah, and that's the thing.
Already.
These guys will spend so long just grinding, working on their business, working on getting jacked, and then once they are that jacked guy who has a lot of money, then they're wondering like, well, why aren't the girls kicking in my door? Why aren't the girls parachuting down from the high heavens? Like, they're not coming to me. What's going on here, right? And meanwhile, their social skills take a back seat, and then now they have to go out and build that muscle as well.
Yeah, but that's a cope also, because no one can tell me that he's not intelligent enough, that they know that a girl has to actually like you, your personality, and not your money or your looks or whatever. That's so stupid, right? I think it's just a massive cope. You know all
But
that.
I'm a high value man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm rich. I have money, and then you're still a retard, bro. You can't even talk to a girl. Like, what's wrong with you?
But I
You know?
got 20,000 Satoshis. I got 0.1 Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I'm cool. I'm cool, man.
And that's why, yeah, a lot of guys ask me like, how do I make girls approach me? Or like, it's that's what it is. It's just like a lot of guys are afraid of just getting rejected
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
But let's be honest, man, it is kind of scary. You see this super hot girl and with her perfect ass and a perfect body, and you want to go up, you know, like every one of us still has like some kind of, oh, shall I approach her? And then you rationalize and you start making excuses, but you just have to do it anyways.
Yeah.
Like,
I think that's an
That is
important
literally hardwired into you. Like that's an evolved trait. But like the probably one of the best pieces of advice that I ever got was it's okay to be nervous.
yeah,
Like,
the
oh,
girl is- the
oh,
girl
that's
is
right. I
also
can just be nervous and say hello anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
But
always
the
tell
girls are
guys that
nervous also. The woman's heart is beating more than yours because you are physically stronger. So like it doesn't even make sense to be afraid of a woman. It's so
Yeah.
pathetic.
That's a really good point. And I think that just by having a lot of guys watch us, and I still get nervous too, right? It's like I remember hearing this interview with Cowboy Cerrone from the UFC when he was fighting. He was saying that like every time backstage he would go and puke every single time before his fights, but he'd still go out there, he'd still make the walk, and he'd either win or lose. But there was no time where he'd be in his career, he'd be completely confident in doing it, right? We all do have that approach anxiety. It's just how do we respond to it? Do we let the fear control us or do we push through it?
But how do I get over
Actually, my buddy ran into
anxiety?
Mystery in Scottsdale a couple months back, and he's had a conversation with him, and Mystery is like, "Yeah, I'm kind of feeling some approach anxiety, and I'm not sure what's going on." And then 2 minutes later, he's in a conversation with girls. It's like, all right, well, I don't know what's going on. Anyways,
Yeah, I think he was talking about it on our recent episode a few weeks back. Can't remember who, but I'm pretty sure Mystery was saying that himself, exactly how you said it. Anyway, let's jump on to another one. At your level, when we just talked about a verbal game and stuff, that's kind of beginner stuff maybe, but let's get more advanced. At your level right now, what is something you have learned recently to help your game a bit more?
Being in
Women
an
are very
being in
open to
alignment.
threesomes.
Threesomes, what?
Go ahead, Devin.
What about threesomes?
Oh, women are very open to threesomes. Like literally, you can get away with like just inviting two girls to hang out with each other, and like they're surprisingly receptive to it. It's really weird. Like you can just
I
be
honestly
like, "Yeah,
think
I'm hanging out with my friend right now. She thinks you're cute. Do you want to hang out?" And like most girls, even if they say no, it costs you absolutely nothing, and you can just throw that out there. It feels like a Hail Mary. It feels weird as fuck that it works, but you're just like, "Hey, yeah, I'm hanging out with a chick."
Well, I
No,
honestly think that
that is
98%
so
of
accurate.
women are bisexual anyways. I mean, you look at them at the club, it's kind of funny because it's like women can just go to the club. They're always so hands-on with each other, putting their head in each other's shoulders, taking photos where they're like face pressed up against each other. And women at the club, it's like, yeah, they'll make out, "Oh, I was drunk. I was just having fun." Where it's like, how many guys do you talk to that it's just like, "Oh yeah, I was drunk. Tom looked really jacked, so I just wanted to kiss him." We're not gay, but like, you know what I mean? Like women are just
But he
very,
had great tits.
yeah, exactly. Right, but yeah,
No,
yeah,
I think really like the learning for me was that like I was making it a bigger deal than it needed to be, and I think that's true with most games. If you make it a big deal, it becomes a big deal. Versus if nothing phases you and nothing bothers you, then it won't bother the girl either.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
would say this
honestly,
comes into having a relationship, for example, or just dating multiple women in general. Like if you have one girlfriend and you're dating other women at the same time, you'll also be surprised how open women are for that. Because I had girlfriends before, more than one, who one even said to me straight up, it was her. Like my setup on Instagram, it was like obviously I'm dating people. But one girlfriend of mine in particular, who was also my coworker, she literally straight up said to me that she's the one who proposed it. This is what I'm saying. She literally just straight up said, "I'm okay with you dating other women for now. Eventually, I might want you all to myself." So she was just expressing the way she sees it, but you'll really be surprised. It goes the same way with dating multiple women in general, even when you have your own girlfriend.
Dude, one of the worst fumbles of my life was like right at like the end of college for me. I had this girl and like I was dating. I was seeing a bunch of different girls. She would find the hairs, she would find whatever, and like she kept seeing me and she kept saying like I want to be your girlfriend. And I had it in my head that like, oh, well, if we're going to be boyfriend and girlfriend, I need to stop doing that and I'm not ready to stop doing that, so I can't be her boyfriend. And I basically told her no, even though I could have just I already had the fucking relationship that I wanted. She was a great girl. Worst fumble. Worst fumble is I just didn't say, okay, cool, you're my girlfriend and I'm going to keep doing this. And she would have been fine with it because she already was.
Mm. I think, yeah,
Yeah.
one of the biggest problems is that guys, when they like a girl, they change who they are, and I'm sure we all know that guy who, before he was in a relationship, was jacked, was in shape, and then, he's in the relationship, he's gained 40 pounds, and then he changes who he was. He changes who that guy was that she was attracted to initially. Why? Right? Keep being that same guy. Don't take your foot off the gas. Don't get comfortable.
So, is that your response to something you learned recently, or are you just piggybacking?
Yeah, it was more, I mean, I've kind of known that for a while and I've seen that, but something that I've learned recently really was just staying in alignment with yourself and knowing what you offer, right? Knowing what it is that you bring to the table. And when you're that guy that is so laser set on pursuing his purpose and his mission, and you know exactly what it is that you bring to the table and people can take it or leave it, that is so important because a lot of guys are so lost and a lot of guys don't really know and have forgotten who they truly are, right? Behind the scenes, they're not pursuing that passion, that purpose, that thing that lights them up inside. They're all too often just caught up in the boring routine of life.
I don't want to go too deep into this, but what I'll add is I co-run a depression charity because my friend uh, died 10 years ago. I want to say committed suicide because it was more like he it wasn't intentional, basically. It's complicated. Anyway, So because I co-run this charity, sometimes I get people asking me, how do you deal with depression? And sometimes I just say, I don't, it doesn't exist in my universe. And then they get confused because what I add on to that is my sense of purpose has always been so strong in my life that I never had depression, probably because I always had a very strong sense of purpose. Even when I faced unemployment or various other things in life where I wouldn't necessarily know what my purpose is in like the higher form of thinking, I I knew what kind of person I am and my capabilities and stuff like that. So because of my super strong bulletproof sense of purpose, like depression and that kind of stuff just never occurs to me. So
Love
that's my twist on that. But yeah, you for you ever guys, something recent at your
Yeah.
level that you have learned.
Yes. I just realized that dating will always require time and effort, and it will always be something that you need to work on. You know, you can be Czech, you can be rich, but still getting girls is never gonna be a completely automated system, right? So like you always have to put in the work, you always have to approach girls, you always have to run social circle events. And then I thought, how much does it suck for anyone who's watching if you don't approach girls? Your life sucks, man. You can be rich and you can be checked, but if you're not approaching girls, your life sucks. And you want to have it in all areas of your life, right? You want to be healthy, you want to have money, and you want to have girls. But it's always going to request time and effort to meet women, and it will never go away. And I think this is really important to understand because, like, you think at some point you figured out the game, but that's just not how it works. Then you have the skill of knowing how to meet women and approaching and being social and talking to girls and getting them attracted to you, but it's still going to cost your time and your effort and money. So,
Actually, you know what? Another thing that I've learned too is the power of presence.
yeah.
It's so extremely important when you're in a conversation to be present when you're whether you're talking to a guy, whether you're talking to a girl, because we all know that guy who is just waiting to jump in for his chance to talk about himself and he's not listening to what you're saying. Whereas if you can just sit back, completely listen and try to understand who that person is in front of you, why they are the way they are, and not be like so adamant about talking about yourself, seek first to understand and just be genuinely curious about them. Like, okay, tell me more, but like I'm actually curious about that thing that you just said there. Why is that? Why do you think that way? Right? And just get curious about people. That is so important and so underutilized and under talked about, I think.
I think I think it's seeing. I think I agree with Phil, dude. If you're not cold approaching, first of all, women aren't going to fall in your lap. I don't care who you are, and even if they do, you'll probably fumble it because you suck at talking to them. But life sucks if you're not cold approaching. All right, like I just
So true.
every day. It's just I'm like, dude, wait, how many girls do you come across every day on your day to day, right? In a medium-sized city, they're like 10, 20. And I'm like, you're not talking to any of them? Like, that's so brutal. So, you know, looking at it from a coaching perspective is, guys, don't let your life suck, right? If you're broke and you want money, you go get it, right? If you're fat and you want to lose weight, you go lose weight. But all of a sudden with women, when you want women, you just let them come to you. It's so weird for me how guys think that. And that in itself has been like a huge learning impact that guys actually think like that versus being go-getters. From a coaching perspective, it's actually pretty surprising that if you're out cold approaching, you're already in the top 1 to 10% of men with women. So good job for those that are doing that.
Yeah, and it's not gonna, you know, the lay doesn't matter. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to sleep with every girl anymore because it's just not so exciting, man. I'm thinking, how can I meet 3 or 4 women at the same time? And you know, but like I don't understand. How can you not approach? It's so weak. It's I don't know, like you know, it's just so much fun to talk to a girl. You don't need to bang her. You don't need to get her number. Just talking to her, having fun, and then you become an interesting guy, right? I also believe you are not successful even if you're rich and checked. If you don't approach women, you're not a successful guy, in my opinion. I would much rather be skinny and weak and can approach women, and I will get laid more than the rich and Czech guy. You know?
Yeah.
Like seriously, what is life? So many guys give up on dating. They completely give up or opt out of the dating game just because they don't want to put in the work. They don't want to take that step and approach the girl. Like, what's wrong with you, man? Like, yeah, like, are you gay or what? You know, like, yeah, I don't understand it. It's important for people to understand because it is a fun activity. It builds confidence. It builds character. It brings you out of your comfort zone. And if you can't cold approach, then of course you are left with all your loser friends because you don't have any options. With cold approach, you're literally creating options for yourself in your life and learning how to connect with the right people. Yeah, don't you guys think?
Yeah, oh yeah, if you can go up in cold approach and create that connection out of thin air with that 9 out of 10 that you see on the street, then yeah, you can easily make friends. You can easily be that guy to walk in a room and not have that social anxiety where you're holding that beer to your chest, wondering, oh, what's everyone going to think about me, right? You can be that guy
exactly.
and walk into any room.
Maybe some of you guys will relate to this. Before you ever knew anything about game, for example, maybe you go to this house party, for example, and everything's just so fucking good, and then you go home, regardless of whether you got later or not. Maybe you had just an incredible connection with someone there. And then you just go home, you stare at the ceiling, and you just think life is amazing. Like I had this kind of feeling way before I knew game. I had girlfriends before and stuff like that. But there was a time when two women on a plane started talking to me. It didn't go anywhere because I didn't ask for their phone number. I didn't even have a phone back then. But I didn't ask for their Facebook or anything like that because I wasn't confident enough in like the baggage collection area to secure that after getting off the plane. But as soon as I got to my destination where I was staying, I was like just staring into the sea and the night sky, all the stars. I was like, this is an amazing feeling. At the same time, I was regretting the fact that I didn't have some kind of connection with them after, like getting their Facebook or whatever. But at the same time, it was just like, isn't life fucking amazing? Like, this is what life should be about, pretty much. That is like the amazing shit. Where some guys just obsess too much over getting some pussy just for the sake of it, because they didn't have that before in their life. But if you had no problem when you were a teenager, that's not really going to be the stuff you care about long term.
There is nothing.
I think every guy has to get their fill at some point. I mean, for other guys, for your fill line is different for who you are and what you've been through. But yeah, I mean, outside of just the sex, like the friends, the experiences, just the quality of life that has come weirdly enough from pursuing women, like, is so odd because there's this big cultural push right now, like, oh, you shouldn't chase girls, you should chase the bag. And it's like, yeah, you should have your life in order, but at the same time, like, I'm a fucking man. I like chasing girls. I have a fun time hanging out with women. It is incredible, and it leads to just these wild situations, like the stories that you get to tell your grandkids someday about the crazy night that you met the girl in Puerto Vallarta and you hooked up on the beach. It's like, it's like you get to live these movie moments that don't happen if you don't put yourself out there.
That's the thing, right? That's what I always say. You have to. I made a decision back then that I'm gonna make game what I want to learn, and everything is gonna follow, right? So like when you're pursuing the hottest woman in the world, everyone wants that. Everyone wants to have the money and the body to get the hottest woman, right? And if you go on this journey, no matter what the results are, because the results are gonna come when you stick to the process, but when you're chasing girls, you increase your social status anyways because you learn how to talk to anyone anytime. You will want to improve your fashion. You will want to improve your physique because once you have health, wealth, and the relationships and social skills, right? And once you mastered one area, when you know how to game girls, you're not thinking about, oh, how am I gonna get a girl? Where's my next date coming from, right? Alone, not having these worries in your head is taken away. Like when you're struggling financially and you're thinking about, oh, how am I gonna make money? Then you'll be fearful in the state of how to make money. If you're not knowing how to get girls, you'll think about, oh, how am I gonna get the next girl? But if you don't have these problems anymore, then your entire life increase. You just become a better man in general. That's what I think. Why you should completely commit to the game, and everything else is gonna follow. Because if you want to have a better job, if you want to make more money, then talk to someone that can give you a better job. Money from someone else, you have to be influential and talk to them and negotiate that they give you their money and make a good deal. So when you learn in cold approach, you just become a man of value, basically.
Brandon, did you say yours?
The what ifs? Pardon?
Brandon, did you say your answer?
For you said the biggest changes in when you get advanced this year recently?
Something you learned recently at your level now.
I would say the surprising willingness for girls to come straight to your house for a first date. If you know how to do it correctly, a lot of girls are down. Also, I think I have a rule for myself now. Second date doesn't close, I'm done. I think it's just
that makes sense. That makes sense.
3 strikes and you're out, but second date, okay.
Yeah, second date. Because I like whatever it is, it's not even necessarily the guys. I know a lot of guys like to say, "Oh, if you don't close by third date, you're doing something wrong," which sometimes could be true, but also sometimes it depends where the girl is at. Also, right? Depending on her
I was
situation.
on a date with a lesbian, and it took like more than by after the second date, she admitted that she hasn't been with a guy before. So I was like, so that's why it's taken 2.5 fucking dates. I'm like, now it all makes sense. I'm like, I never let it go this fucking far. So I
There's so many
resonate.
black swans to shout out fucking never split the difference again. Like it can be a black swan. It can totally be something completely outside of your game. Generally, it's helpful to assume that I'm doing something wrong. What can I improve? But there are just times where it's like, you don't know what's going on with that girl. Maybe she is a virgin. Who knows? So it's like I agree with the grace period. I usually go 2-3 dates, but dude, two's good.
I'll read some stats and then let's have Brandon finish what he was saying. 43% of Game Global members tend to get laid on the first date, 30% second date, 16% third date, 2% fourth date, 9% beyond fourth date. So actually 43% isn't as bad as I thought it would be, maybe, but yeah, first date is what I would go for. I wouldn't dismiss her and not give her a second date chance, but after
just
2
drops in
dates,
priority.
You know what?
Yeah. Depends on how hot she is.
yeah, honestly.
I have a question for you guys actually, because I get a lot of guys coming to me like, oh, I don't necessarily have the funds or the money to take a girl out on a date right now. And for me, it's always been the same. Like, I don't really spend any money on a girl on the first date. If anything, it's maybe a coffee or a drink. But like for the longest time, I would just take a girl for a walk where there's a scenic area that I know of, or even like straight to the house, whatever, because it's more casual. But like, yeah, I don't do extravagant dates or anything like that. What about you guys?
No,
Like, what's
never
your
for a
ideal
first
first
date.
date?
I mean,
before we get into that, Brandon, did you have something more you want to say?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, well, you're good. One more thing I'll add that I've been doing more recently, and I've seen it make a difference, is leaving a lot more empty space in conversation for the girl to fill in. I think a lot of guys are fucking motor mouths, especially when they get nervous. They're like, they just keep fucking spewing stuff. Like I do it purposefully. So like say there's a high point conversation, I'll specifically stop right there and kind of like it almost gets like tensiony for a second, right? And then she fills in the empty space. And the more she does that, the more she's gonna find herself being like, fuck, I like this guy. Fuck, there's something about this guy. So that's something I've been implementing a lot more, and I've noticed some real differences.
Yeah, that's so funny to me. Just
That's some serious game.
like
That's
sometimes I would just look at her and just like with a slight grin maybe, and just like
Just foaming from the mouth.
Sometimes
video.
de-escalating on a high point too. So like if you guys, because like everybody says, oh, escalate on a high point, but sometimes like withdrawing that little bit of attention on the high point too kind of creates a similar vibe. But yeah.
I did a video where I went around asking girls the #1 mistake that most guys make on a first date. And with what Brandon said there, that's so true, where it's like, you guys could probably guess what the #1 mistake a lot of guys make is talking too much about themselves and not asking the girl any questions or trying to get to know the girl. So if you can use that,
Yeah.
just getting curious about the girl, so important.
Just, I think as a general rule, I know Sartain talks about like not talking about yourself. And I think he quotes a stat where it's the most effective indicator of whether or not there will be a second date is if the woman says the word me or I at least 7 times. I think on a first date, talk about yourself as little as possible. Just in general, talk about yourself. You can talk about things. You can talk. There's a big difference between not talking about yourself and not talking, but very rarely ever talk about yourself on a date or just with people in general. I mean, to be honest, people really don't give a fuck about you or your experiences until they know that you care about them. So just having that like genuine curiosity, okay, who is this girl? What makes her tick? And asking her all those questions and then just leaving yourself as this, oh, I'm still a mystery.
Yeah. While we're talking about interesting like stats and stuff like that, there's one that Tinder came out with that I did see when I accessed their stats. It was something like the fifth date is when daters tend to have like a cooking date. And that is the point when when it's considered much more intimate for the long-term relationship. So like it's kind of the sweet spot is the fifth date is when people are having dates where they cook for each other or one person cooks for them, something like that. So it's funny if you do it as a first date, it works incredibly well. But so it made a lot of sense when I saw this statistic. I was like, oh, every time I cooked with a woman, every single one that I can remember, like we kept seeing each other for however long, or she had to go to another country and whatever, so it was cut short. So that I'm just putting that out there. That's a pretty interesting stat.
Don't sleep on the cook dates. Okay, I've actually never tried that.
No, it's great. Like what I'll give you one example. I went to with a Korean place, some hot chocolate place in the middle of the city, and then she took me to a place nearby where she just likes to sit down and just watch everyone. And I was like, this is kind of for me that's boring. And I'm like, I have better things to do than just hang out in the middle of the city and just sit down on a step. I was like, that's something a tourist would do when they're tired. I didn't say that, but I was like, yeah, it's a good time to take her home. And I had a scheduled delivery for groceries later anyway. So I said, I gotta go home for this delivery. They're delivering food. Do you want to come and get some, you want to cook fajitas with me, for example? And then she just came with me and then we cooked together. There would be plenty of times when I baked cookies, talked about those gingerbread houses, and yeah, stuff like that. Every
It's the
time it's
perfect first
something to
date,
do
bro.
with cooking, it's just pretty much the perfect first date, maybe.
Shit. I gotta brush up on my cooking skills then.
No, actually looping that back into your question on spending money on the first date, bro. That was a big part of why I developed gingerbreads. This was like probably 5, 6 years ago. I was a little bit broke, but I was like, wait, that's women love cute, stupid holiday activities. And so I just hit up like a bunch of girls from Tinder and from Cold Approach and from wherever. I just started inviting them like, oh, hey, do you want to make a gingerbread house and drink some wine? And gingerbread houses are like $5, $10. You get a cheap bottle of wine. So it's like a $20 date. She's straight over at your house. You make the gingerbread houses, which takes like 10, 15 minutes. And then afterwards, I mean, like the rest is history. It's such a good date, but it's still fun and girls don't feel sleazy about it.
That's so
Cannot
unique.
recommend it
You
enough.
do that. That's very unique. You do that outside of December though, like in the middle of July.
No. That's just like as soon as Christmas season starts. So like right after Halloween is when I'm starting it.
Got it. Okay.
But
If
any
you're
date
night,
like that, bro. Like holiday dates, holiday theme dates straight to the place are awesome. My go-to is still generally drinks. So like going on a date later, we'll go grab a scorpion bowl. It's like $25. You have a couple of drinks, you have a good time. It's fun because tiki bars are great. And like anything like that. I believe the first dates should be under $50 tops.
if
The
you
girl
weigh
has
like
to
99 pounds and you eat 1 pound of gingerbread, you're basically 1% gingerbread man. So there you go. Anyway,
Yeah,
anyone want to say something?
the girl has to like you for personality. That's why it doesn't make sense to spend money on dates. I had a client, he went on 6 dates and spent $800. And
Oof.
he like quickly kissed her like on the third date. And I'm like, bro, forget about her.
Hey, Grandma Peck.
Find the next one, yeah. And
Oh,
like what the
I have
fuck?
a guy doing live-in right now who
Yeah.
was consistently a foodie call, and you would take him to like nice places, like $300 to $500 dinners. I'm like, dude, you gotta stop doing that, please.
Yeah, it
Never
just
again.
doesn't make sense. the date has to be set up in a logistical way where you can switch venues so you can get laid on the first date. And after the first date, I don't care if I'm spending money on a girl. I don't know about you, but you know, if I want to have a nice dinner and I'm banging some girl and I like her and I just want to take her with me, then that's cool. But for the first date, I think it's more like a screening tool for me
Yeah.
if he's actually interested in me as a man, you know, because that's what you want, right? You know, depending on how attractive your girlfriend is, if you want to have like a 9 or 10 or whatever and fake tits and pretty face, she's used to a certain lifestyle on private jet and, you know, yacht and whatever, right? So she's going to cost you more money than like a normal, cute secretary kind of girl. But what do you think?
I don't agree with that entirely. Again, to credit Sartain, I think it has to do with how much stimulus the girl requires. And on the whole, I think a lot of those very attractive, well, Miami type of girls are used to a higher level of stimulus. But I know plenty of absolutely gorgeous women who are totally fine to play board games and like go to cheap dinners, even beyond. But I also have no problem spending money on a girl.
Yeah, with
Like
the right
not more
guy.
than I would spend on myself, but like, and especially it's specifically to create experiences that I also enjoy and to bring her into those experiences.
Yeah.
At that point, I really don't care about like the money. It's more about, are we going to go do this fun experience together?
Yeah, the guys who are saying and the women who are like posting this on social media too, when they're saying like the date should be this, the date should be that, and you have to drive me there and we have to have some good dinner. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. If I want to introduce someone to my life, I'm going to introduce someone to my life. I'm a bucket list kind of guy. I got I got cities I want to go to. If we can fly together there, go together there, that's something. I went crazy. One of the craziest first dates I ever went on was going to another country for a first date. That's specifically because in my book, The Message Game, a line I started using was the free things line. What are free things you would love to do for a first date? And there are multiple women who would say in one of those free options, they would say travel to another country or just travel in general. So one time I was like, fuck it, let's actually fucking do this just for the sake of it, because I want to go to whatever country it may be anyway. So I'm just an opportunist. But in other cases, I'm simply just aiming for fun things that I genuinely want to do. And by asking her to free things line, a lot of the time it's going to be stuff that I like anyway. And some guys are kind of criticizing my advice on this because they think she's the one leading for picking the options. But no, she's giving me free options for me to choose. She's giving me her blueprint, and I am the one who decides which one we go on. And if I don't like any of those free, I'll just pick something else. So she's not the one leading. She's just giving me the information. I'm extracting the information of her ideal first date and then taking her to whatever makes more logistical sense. I did get some which were super impractical, like skydiving and shit like that. I'm like, I gotta go fucking miles away for that. And yeah, that's a bit too, that's something I would probably be interested in maybe, but I don't want to die at this point. So maybe not, and it's far away. So that's a less favorable option. So you just have to remember you have control on choosing where you are going. You can get her input and then choose, but you're the one choosing, basically. You're just getting her information.
You guys know what the CPL is?
The way.
Cost per
What is
lead.
that?
CPL, yeah, cost per lay.
Oh man.
So what you
Yeah.
do, right, when you're dating a girl?
CPA, cost per acquisition.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so basically what you do, you take your phone and then you make a note and then you just write down for each girl how much money you spend on her and how much you're getting. If you're getting a blowjob, if you're banging her, and how many times, and then you basically write down how much time you spend, how much money you spend, what did you do, how much fun you had, and then you have the CPL, the cost per lay.
Man, I'm such a Jew. Mine is probably like 33 cents.
I don't know if you guys follow Ryan Taraban at all, but I know he talks about the best
Like hacks,
relationship.
right?
Yes, like hacks. All relationships are transactional. So we're just decoding what probably most guys and girls care about at the end of the day in those relationships. But the best relationships doesn't feel like there's a transaction. Like the more veiled the transaction is. So I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and count how much money that a girl is costing me. I kind of just had like, okay, does it feel like she's trying to use me, or does it feel like we're just doing fun things together? If we're doing fun things together, then I don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
It's like I'm the, you're I agree because I'm not paying to go ice skating for her. I'm paying to go ice skating for me. So
Mm.
it's like I'm paying for that experience, but I'm not spending the money on her. I'm spending the money on myself
Yeah.
doing this fun thing. I'm not paying for her tickets. She can pay for it herself. But yeah, I'm just not buying stuff for women I'm just started dating.
I
yeah,
think a
but
lot
that's
of
why
guys
the
are too
guys,
focused.
yeah, the guys that accuse you that you pay for women, that you pay for money, right? And that you pay for the girls. If you want to do something anyways, and the woman is treating you well, and she likes you, you know, and you can tell that she's respecting you and that she's giving you a good time, then why would you not spend any money on a girl? Or like, you know, if you go to a nightclub or to wherever and you pay for a table and you invite 10 women or 5 women and they all treat you well and you're sleeping with a couple of them, is that paying for women or is that because you want to do that anyways? You know, because if you want to do it anyways and you just want to have a great time, then why would you not do it?
Or there's a good example Michael Sartain gave in terms of social circle game. It's like because I'm about to go next week to a beach house. There's a friend of his that has like a villa in Mexico or something, and it has 10 bedrooms. He paid for the house, but he doesn't pay for the women's flights to get there or their transportation. The women will travel there, however, by themselves using their own resources. But he paid for the property. It's his literal property, and it's just accessible for people to travel to. So it's like a
Yeah.
social arena for him. He's not paying women. He owns something, and he
I think
allows people to go out there to experience it.
The
Yeah,
two
but the
key
beta mates
distinctions is
think that,
probably like one, it can't be a consequential amount of money for you. Like if it's an amount of money that hurts, then hey, don't spend it. Just draw that line. But second is, am I doing this to impress the girl? If you're spending money to impress her, then you're coming from a place of qualifying, you're needy, and it's going to hurt you in the long run. It's bad game. But if you're doing this because it's something that you enjoy and you want to share that experience with her, then it doesn't matter how much you spend.
Mm. I love that. And from I think Ice White said this where it was like, yeah, you're bringing a girl along for experiences you're already having in your life, right? Like you're bringing her into your life. And I ask guys this question all the time because I know, and I go off on rants about like first date dinner dates. I just don't understand why any guy would want to just sit there and watch a girl stuff her face with food and try to get to know each other while picking food out of your teeth. Like I just think it's a horrible idea. You're sitting there bloated after, holding in farts. Like I ask guys this question all the time, like when they take girls to fancy restaurants for the first date, like is that something you genuinely enjoy? Do you genuinely enjoy being a foodie and testing out different, best places to go to eat? And they're like, no, but I think that the girl would enjoy that. And it comes from that place of like trying to impress the girl, right? Sure, if that's your thing, if you actually like going to fancy restaurants and trying out different food in your city, by all means, yeah, bring her along for that experience. But a lot of times it's just what you said, right? Where it's like the guy trying to impress the girl.
The issue is it's just not conclusive to game in general, right? Eating. It's like, especially a lot of times you're sitting across from each other. It's not made like a bar where you can sit side by side, right? Touch each other on her, like on her thigh, all these things. Like eating is not it. Maybe like an ice cream, but not fucking, five
Yeah.
steak
I
dinner.
did have an awesome first date spot. When I lived in a different part of town, there was this little restaurant. Fuck it, I can put guys onto it if they're in Arizona. It's called Cornish Pasty. It was so good, and it's honestly, it's like bar food. It's like almost like hamburgers, but it's like these big, almost like a giant empanada. But it was just so fun because the venue itself is so fucking cool. I loved being in there. Like on my own with no girls, I would go eat there like 3, 4 times a week. It was that good, and it was cheap. Like the food's like $15 a plate. So I would take girls there and they would never finish their food. We'd always go get a drink afterwards. But I would do that just because I liked it and I would bring them along. But that's the only food date that I've ever consistently done. But it worked like a charm. It would be like food date. There was the best espresso martini in town downstairs, and every girl in the world loves an espresso martini. So it's easy. Like, oh, hey, let's grab an espresso martini. And then it just feels like this whole adventure of like, oh my God, I met him here. And then we went there and we went there. But it was fun for me. Like I loved that date. That's how I would spend my Tuesday night anyways.
Tuesday night, crazy milkshakes with cakes on them, gingerbread, anal, perfect first date.
But generally,
Anyway.
like again, tiki drinks are better for a date.
Alrighty, let's start closing this. If there's anything else you guys want to talk about, we can keep going for another few minutes, but otherwise I'll slowly start closing this. Yeah, I don't have any more particular. I got plenty of fucking questions. Don't worry about that. But now it's time to close. But if there's something interesting you want to share, go for it.
I would just close out with this, where a lot of guys get hung up on how do I get the girl, but this stuff goes far outside of just getting the girl, right? You're only one connection away from changing your life, and all you have to do is create that opportunity for yourself by simply opening up your mouth and getting out of your comfort zone. So talk to everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll too with whatever you got going on in life, not even just dating, stop being complacent. Just take a hard look at yourself. If you're lacking in dating, if you want that 10, if you want that 9, and you're complacent for whatever reason, you're going to be there for a long time, buddy. So don't settle for complacency. All right. Just try to be a go-getter. Be the person you want to be. Just stop thinking about it and start executing. Complacency is the killer of all dreams, guys. So that's what I'll leave you with.
Yeah, I'd say you have to take a good hard look in the mirror and ask yourself, what is this all worth to me? Getting the hottest girls, having the best physique, making the most money, doing cool shit. It all requires time, effort, energy, and a lot of failure. And you have to level with yourself. Am I that guy? Am I going to put in the work to get the results that I want? And if you're not, hey, it's okay. But once you decide that's the result, then you have to also accept the burden of putting in the effort.
I saw this quote today. I loved it, where it was like a lot of successful people are just willing to look like an idiot, whereas you aren't.
Ooh, Hormozy.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm paraphrasing, I can't remember the quote exactly, but that's pretty much what it boiled down to. And I loved it.
Yeah.
Formosa
Yeah, it's hard to be a winner and it's hard to be a loser, right? Going up and learning cold approach is hard, but not doing it sucks even more. So you have to choose what you want to do. Waking up early and going to the gym every day is hard, but not doing it and being fat and out of shape is even harder. So like, it's both really hard and it's both frustrating and it's not even fun most of the time, especially in the beginning when you develop yourself as a man. It's no fun at all. It's no fun to learn social skills when you're overcoming all your anxieties and all that stuff and your insecurities and you have to fix yourself, right? But it's also, or I would say it's even harder to not work on that, because the moment when you decide to stop being a loser is when you stop being a loser. And that's when life becomes fun, right? And you have to decide you want to be a winner that puts in the actions, no matter what people or your friends or your family or whatever says, or you don't. So you have to make a decision. Do you want to be a winner or do you want to be a loser? And there's going to be ups and downs all the time anyways. And the only thing that you can rely on these days is you. No one is going to do it for you. No one cares about you. So you have to work on yourself and take responsibility and become that man that you want to be. That's it.
I was getting the chills there a few moments ago. Something, maybe there's a study on there, or whatever, but when people are dying, they don't regret the things that they did. They regret the things that they didn't do. That's it. Alrighty. Yeah, any other closing statements?
Yeah, I want to say something. I noticed I talk to a lot of guys every day on Instagram. Guys today are literally, they have so much fucking theory in their heads. They're paralysis by analysis. It's like they're thinking so much. They're asking me questions that are like, how do I get a threesome? Dude, it's like, you don't even have a fucking girl in your life, right?
Yeah.
Nothing is going to compare to real world experience. Nothing. Theory is great, right? I can give you theory. I can help you along the way, but nothing compares to actually getting out there and doing it consistently. That's how your brain is actually going to learn.
Be willing to fuck up.
Yeah.
For
Yep.
real. I would probably wager that every dude on this call has fumbled more baddies in their life than the average guy has ever spoken to. I know I have.
I love that quote.
Uh,
The master has failed more times than the student has even tried, but it is so true. You have to be willing to fuck up, readjust, and just get back up and do it again. Change your strategy.
Yeah, so when I got to 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, I posted something on Facebook and it said something like being a perfectionist got me 10 subscribers, taking action got me 1,000 times more.
Ooh.
It's like that's literally true because the same friend that I was talking about earlier who died 10 years ago, I was interviewing him a year before because he was a famous game developer. And in this interview, which is the first interview I ever did of any kind, and it's funny how full circle this went now that I interview people for YouTube. I asked him something, and then I asked him a secondary question off of that, off of his answer, and I was asking him about perfection. And he said, doesn't exist. And I was a perfectionist back then. And what was stopping me from ever building a YouTube channel or many other things in my life in general was just this idea of perfection. I'm not going to start until I get the best webcam, until I get a webcam that's external to the computer, until I get a microphone, till I got this light box, this light ring, and all this other equipment. Eventually I started giving up on the perfectionism and just doing things. And then I was getting views, and then I was able to invest in equipment like microphones. And I only had this maybe less than 2 years. So still some of this is fairly recent, but perfection really stopped me from being able to evolve. So it's like the 1,000 times more progress thing. That's a real example from my life, just from my YouTube channel. But anyway, let's look at some themes we gone through today. Guinea pig global, maybe gingerbread global again. Anything else that comes up, I don't know. But other panels we could have in the future. This has been a very interesting discussion, guys. We're going to have a Mexican panel in the future, a German panel in the future, a social circle game panel in the future. I'm also thinking even crazier, like random things, maybe not necessarily crazier, but a chill panel. Is guys like Devin and Casey Redbeard and Ryan Fernandez, they're just like the most chill panelists ever. So like I want to get those three guys and like the most chill guys who come on just for like the chill panel. I like to have these fucking themes. Oh my God, is Justin joining? Hold on, wait a minute. Whoa. Right. Justin, well, we're gonna go for another 3 hours then. Fuck it, guys. Justin is here.
What's up, guys? Sorry I'm late, boys. Sorry I'm late.
We were just about to finish, but now I gotta fucking stay here for you. Right. And
Okay.
no, it's all
Just figure
good.
I'd pop in, say hi.
That's
I'm gonna tell you one
perfect.
thing, hey, Justin
Oh,
is
man.
the funniest Indian guy I ever seen, man. I'm telling you, you're fucking awesome.
Thank you, brother.
Like
Appreciate
the
that.
way you acted, man, is fucking ridiculous, man. I love it.
Your
Thank you,
voice
brother.
sounds
Thank you,
completely
bro.
fucked. Did you have a wild night or what?
Oh, this whole weekend, dude. Oh my God. Like I just woke up. That's so sorry I'm late, boys. But yeah, like we had just fucking girls here until like 7, 8 a.m. every night. Dude, my fucking girlfriend was like mugging dudes. There's this like fucking dude trying to like enter table, trying to pull these chicks. And like, dude, my girl's just so well trained. She's looking at these girls. She's like, that guy's not it. Don't go with him. Come with us. And then one of my students ended up smashing one of the girls. It's like, yeah, dude. It's like I don't know, fucking probably went to bed at like fucking 9 or 10 a.m. So yeah, you know how it goes.
It's just fucking what the fuck? It's 7:30 nearly. What the fuck is
Yeah.
wrong with you? This is crazy. Nah, for real though, some of you guys I met in person. I met Jesse Brannon in person in Las Vegas. We had a nice interview. Me and Justin were just together a few weeks ago here in Lima. It was crazy.
Yeah, back in
I haven't
back in December.
Yeah, I haven't released the video yet. I had some issue I needed to go over, but I'm gonna finish that hopefully in the next few days because I'm finally gonna have some fucking time next week at a beach house. But anyway, you want to share something about your experiences with Lima from a few weeks ago?
Sure. Yeah, I love Lima, dude. Lima is one of the most fun cities I think you can go to. And bro, it's so close to America. So if you guys are in Canada, the States, or anywhere like North America, I mean, I think it's a 7 hour flight from Toronto. And Toronto's really far up north. So, I mean, first of all, one of my buddies, Bratticus, he fucked 30 girls in Lima in 3 weeks. It's just an easy place to meet chicks. Girls are a lot more feminine. And here's another thing I love about Lima, dude. The girls are skinny. They're very like they just have like a skinnier type body. It's a really good place to practice Spanish as well. It's safe. So, I mean, if you compare Peru, especially Lima, to other places to visit, like Colombia, for example, Lima is just a lot safer. It feels a lot more developed. And I mean, bro, the weather's really good. It's kind of just like it's a little dry desert air, but it's like it's not bad. It's not cold, right? Come from Canada, it's fucking minus 20 out right now.
I'm fucking
And
sweating right now.
yeah, so it's just super nice, and then it's super easy to get there. So one of my buddies is a flight attendant, and we can get like fucking free flights. So I tell him like, bro, we should go fucking back to Lima, dude. Like, it's so close. And yeah, so especially if you're anywhere in like the south parts of the states, I mean, bro, if you just wanted a place to like practice game that's not your hometown, this is a big issue a lot of guys have is they never leave their fucking hometown. They never get out of their home city. I mean, bro, the whole part of Latin America is great. Like in Colombia, Peru, it's a fun place to visit, and Lima is one of the coolest places to visit as well. Because I mean, obviously, tons of history on the traveler side. Like you can do a lot of stuff in Peru. Like there's so much going on. I traveled Peru for 2 weeks with my ex girlfriend, and just like there's unlimited things to do. You can spend a month traveling the country, but dude, if you just want to go tear up pussy and just meet a ton of girls, you just jump on Tinder in Lima, right, and just meet a ton of chicks. Like they're really high quality, educated women, right? They all have, like they go to university. They're smart girls, and it's a good place to visit.
When I was interviewing the Tinder employee back in nearly 5 years ago now, it was 4.5 years ago. Back in 2020, the Tinder employee confirmed the best ratio men to women. There were 2 women for every man on Tinder in Peru, making Peru the best country to use Tinder. It's probably much different now because I've seen the stats change over the years. But yeah, Peru is one of the best countries for using Tinder.
It
It's
all
crazy.
makes sense now. I've done both. I was in Colombia and Peru, and what I found was in Medellin, the quality was better, but there was a lot more sex workers there. And in Peru, it was like the girls would do the work for you. They would reduce the resistance. They would say, like, oh, I'm living at XYZ. I know you're probably not from here. I could bus down, I could drive down to you and meet you here. Like they made it so much easier for you. And yeah, a lot of guys are like hyped up on going to Colombia, which is great. I understand why, but like Peru is definitely underrated for sure.
Sure, you
Yeah, it's
guys
kinda
sold
right.
me. I'm gonna book a flight. Come visit
Do it.
guys.
For
I
Get a
sure.
mean,
guinea pig or two.
Get that ceviche when you're down there. Oh man.
Oh, dude,
yeah,
food's
the,
great.
the flip side is you kind of got to know which places to go to. Justin said many of the women are skinny. In some places, it's not the case. But the funny thing is, the difference is the skinny ones are the ones who don't have children. And the one,
Hmm.
my wife told me this, I'm not making it up myself. And the ones who are a little more curvy, they're the ones who are mothers and probably married and so on. So yeah, Justin is accurate there. The single ones are kind of easy to identify because they're the skinny ones. It's like I never seen it work this way in like any country. It's like Japan, everyone's skinny apart from the sumo wrestlers. But here, there's a correlation between how skinny you are and what your relationship status is. It's kind of strange now that I think about it. But yeah. Yeah, anything you we were going to close the call, but if any of you guys need to go, just feel free to drop off. But maybe we can make this a little opportunity to go for an extra few minutes on social circle game.
Sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
What's going on? Both you and Devin are in Toronto, right? So
Yeah. What's up, Devin? It's good to see you, man.
Hey, there he is.
you know whichever.
Yeah. Yeah. So with Soulster game, I mean, I don't know if you have any specific questions. One thing that I find really interesting, like absolutely fucking shocking. This is a theory I've had for many years, but you know, with every theory, you have to constantly retest them, right? I find, dude, it's so cold out. Like it is so fucking cold this weekend. And like it was a little bit warm. Like I thought, okay, spring's here. And then yesterday was like -20. It's just brutal, right? And one of my theories is hoes don't get cold because I got to
You
the
see them
club.
standing outside of the club in mini
Dude.
skirts and high heels, and it's like, man,
The line was down the street. I thought, oh man, it's gonna be dead. There's not gonna be girls out, right? And like I'm a promoter. Like, dude, I had like fucking 40 girls on my list last night. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Right. And then there's all these other girls coming in. But here's the thing. The guys that want to go get some chicks, the guys that want to go get some pussy, like they're staying home. You know, they're just like hibernating. But the girls, like their girls are out. Like nothing's gonna stop them from getting dick. You know, like the line is down the street. And like I literally posted an Instagram story last night. You guys can look at my Instagram story. I captioned it like female taco fest. And it's like it was just all girls. There must have been like I had a table right in the center. There's girls everywhere, dude. And it's just like really, really cute girls. And there's like no dudes. And I was getting frustrated because like I have a big promoter team, and you my own promoters like, oh, it's too cold. I'm staying home. I got this thing and that thing. So like a lot
These
of my guys
girls
didn't
are
come
on a
out.
mission, man. That's crazy.
That's
like
what I'm saying.
when
And
I was younger,
so the ratio was off though. It was too many girls, not enough guys. And I was like, holy fuck, like how, like we need more guys here to like rizz up these chicks, you know?
I feel like because there's this weird thing about me, like maybe it's a self-fulfilling prophecy because of what my name is, but people would always be, Ice, are you cold? And I would just say no. And then people would just see me outside, even in the snow, and not wearing a fucking coat or anything. So just like minimal layers, and they'll be like, Ice is never cold. It's like this mysterious thing, but it makes sense. That's his name. It's like, what the fuck is going on? And then I have to explain it. I'm like, I don't fucking know. I just
Ice,
don't
you're a
fucking,
hoe.
I'm
Hoes
not
don't get
bothered by
cold.
it. Yeah, I was thinking that. Maybe there's an association between how much you are on a mission and not feeling like the environment around you. So these bitches are on a mission, maybe.
Yeah,
Listen,
but
there's
the theory
nothing
was
that will stop a woman from going out when she wants to go
Yeah.
out. Like, there's just absolutely not a single force in the world.
wait a second here. Hold on. Girls aren't just going to the club to have a good time with their girlfriends.
Damn, who would have thought? And I do have a specific question, maybe, which would be perfect for this because I was hoping Justin would be here. So let me ask this. Let me refer back to it. Yeah, what are some, maybe I should phrase this differently. So how do you take advantage of your Instagram game? Because my theory is that the combination of message game and social circle game is the most powerful game combo. And I seen we were out in Lima and you were doing some wild shit for like Instagram. I was like, what the fuck is going on? And when you look at Justin's Instagram these days, he's like doing all this wacky shit that nobody else is doing. He's like being escorted to a cyber truck with security, and then they're like girls kissing each other, and he's like, no, this is not Christian. We need to stop this right now. And all this crazy shit that's going on. Talk us through this. What's your Instagram
I mean, dude, that's
strategy?
such a rabbit hole to go down because like I've been studying this shit for like 10 years, right? And I actually studied social media influencers. Like at one point, I literally moved to LA and I was in Hollywood hanging out with some massive influencers. And I was not just studying what they did to pop off on social media, but I was trying to understand how that can help you get girls. I was at this private VidCon party back in 2019. It was 5,000 of the biggest creators in the world. Like David Dobrik was there, Tana Mojo's there. Like it's like a private party. And I'm hanging out with all these massive influencers. I was probably the smallest content creator there, right? I had 50,000 subscribers on a YouTube channel. My channel was called Let's Get Girls, right? And then every content creator there had 1 million plus followers. And I was like embarrassed. I didn't want to tell people what I do or like really what the situation was. And I noticed that a lot of the guys that would do content, the reach would allow them to get so many chicks. And I realized when you actually implement a lot of game principles into your content, you can actually just scale your reach with chicks. So like, it's very common now. I go out and cold approach chicks and they already know who I am. Like I go out to the club and girls already know who I am. I have like fangirls. It's pretty fucking insane, right? Because last month I did 400 million plus views. In the last 3 months, my Instagram accounts, I have multiple accounts that have around 1.2 million followers, reach over 700 million views. I think it was like 770 million views, and accounts reach was around 130 13 million people, right? So it was like 14% of the population of Earth saw my content in the last month. And if you actually look at my Instagram videos, I'm just posting shit that'll either trigger people and get them emotional, so they get a reaction, or shit that's just like dumb and funny that I think is funny. That would like, so girls meet me, they're like, oh, this silly guy, he's so funny, right? And it's almost like a way to do warm approaches, because this is actually like a strategy I developed. I figured I'd go viral enough where I would actually be able to go out and girls would just know me. And it kind of worked, because I saw some of my other influencer buddies doing that, where they had like fangirls in their DMs, or they would even go out and then girls knew them. My really good friend Luis, he has a show called To Capture Cheater. I don't know if anyone here has ever seen it. Very big YouTube series. They have like 3 million subscribers on YouTube. And for years, man, me and Luis would travel all around the world. And dude, he had like really hot girls that would like just come up to him. They knew him from his content. So I wanted to see if I can experiment and recreate that. And just using the Instagram Reels feature is just so powerful. Because if you just post anything that's a little bit different, thinking outside the box, just like a little bit funny, especially if you do like cinematic type content, I mean, bro, you're going to go viral. Like, it is just so fucking easy to go viral on Instagram these days and become a content creator or like an influencer through using Instagram. But the powerful thing is also you can use it to get laid. So you can use it for social game. You can use it for text game. You can use it to get laid, right? So I'll give you an example. If I want to throw an event, or if I want a bunch of girls hanging out on the weekend, I'll just post an Instagram story multiple times. Then I have a bunch of promoters. I run like the largest club promoter team in Toronto. Just get all my promoters to post that same story. So now it's kind of almost like a social buzz. It's like everyone's talking about this cool party that we're going to do, right? So our New Year's party, I think we had like 375 girls on our list, and probably 400 girls showed up, right? Because all these people are talking about it. Then I get the girls to post a flyer about it. I get my girlfriend to invite a bunch of girls that she's met. She got a couple hundred girls on Instagram. She'll give all these chicks, post some reels about it. We just build a buzz, you know? And so using social media, yes, you can get the word out there, but even like very simple things. It doesn't have to be this big grandiose thing. You don't have to become a social media influencer. You don't have to throw a big party. You can just post reels and then you're relevant. If you're just constantly posting Instagram stories, and that's kind of like a no-brainer. You're posting Instagram stories a lot. Girls are constantly up on their phone. They're always on their phone. Look at any girl's screen time, bro. It's like 8 to 12 hours a day, probably more. There's a lot of these chicks. They're constantly on Instagram. So if they're constantly seeing you pop up on their feed, you know, they're thinking about you. And if you're not posting, they're not thinking about you, and out of sight, out of mind, right? So if you're constantly dude, yesterday I posted 14 reels, at least, minimum 40 Instagram reels. I spent 5 hours editing these reels, just posting bang, 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 bang. Anytime a girl opens her Instagram, they see my fucking face. Okay. So then they see me out. A lot of these girls, like, you know, they were having on Instagram, or like I met them at this party or that event or that club, or cold approach that chick and her friends, right? They'll have me on Instagram. They open their Instagram, they see me, then they see me out, and I'm saying, oh yeah, we're doing a little after party at the penthouse, come by, right? Or we're doing this thing at this club, you should come by. So you're just going to be around more women when you're using Instagram more, especially if you're directing that to actually having a cool lifestyle and doing things and being out and meeting people, right? But then even when it comes to going on dates, guys, like even when it comes to going on dates, like all you have to do is be active on Instagram, and then, you know, you just text the girl the same way. She's going to treat you a little bit different than every other guy in her DMs, right? Because she already has countless men in her fucking DMs, dude, right? Like my girl has no profile picture, 200 Instagram followers, and you still have all these guys trying to fucking follow her, right? So like any hot girl on Instagram, bro, she is getting flooded.
You've seen those AI
DMs.
profiles, even transgender profiles, and they're getting thirsty comments. Even the AI ones, that's not a real fucking that's not even a person.
Yeah.
And it's getting like, oh, I love your sexy feet. And all these creepy things, like there are no feet in the fucking picture. It's all it's just got
So
free,
the whole point,
free fucking hands and shit.
it's become so competitive. You have to do things that are different than every other guy. You have to differentiate yourself from every other guy, right? And a lot of guys are too scared to put themselves out there. They're too scared to do content. They're too scared to like kind of be like a mini influencer. And again, perception is reality, right? So whatever the fuck you post becomes your identity, right? So sometimes they'll post shit that's like controversial. It's like a little bit offensive, but girls still think it's funny. Sometimes they'll post things that are just cool and high status. Just me in the club with a bunch of chicks. You know, me wearing a fucking fur coat that I found on the couch. Some girl left her jacket here, put it on, get a little Instagram clip. I'm wearing a nice watch. You know, I'm wearing cool clothes. Bunch of girls around. You know, and girls see that. And again, dude, like, you know, human beings, we're social creatures, right? We're kind of group thinkers. So social proof, you know, we're following that. So you see like 15 girls there, and then the tiny little Indian guy standing above them, you know, looking kind of different and like different than the average guy you'd see. And, you know, it gets the attention, right? And in this modern times, bro, attention is a superpower. Like You need to weaponize people's attention. It'll just put you on a whole different level, you know, and you just get all the status from it. It's fucking crazy, dude. So yeah, like, I mean, I go out these days and I had fangirls. You know, I've never met these chicks and they know me. They followed my content. They followed me on Instagram, or like their ex-boyfriend shit talking me. That's the one I get a lot. I was with a girl the other day. She's telling me this guy she was seeing was like shit talking me. I don't know these guys. I don't know who this dude is, right? But now, like, she clearly thinks, okay, this guy's Justin. He's like high status because, you know, my ex-boyfriend is shit talking him,
It's only
right?
going to make them want you more.
Exactly. And so, you know, just using social media to capture a lot of attention, it's super powerful. And if you mix that in with, you know, just traditional like PUA strategies, cold approach. I'm like, dude, I had a boot camp last week. I was out doing cold approach in the middle of winter, middle of a fucking snowstorm. I did 100 approach challenge, 100 approaches in one fucking day, dude. It was insane. You know, you merge these things together, dude, and you're gonna get results. Like, so one of my students recently recreated this. To be fair, the guy's a really good looking guy. Really good looking guy. But I mean, like 2 weeks, he fucked like 10 chicks. In the middle of winter here in Toronto, it's minus 20 out. There's fucking snow on the ground. You know, he's killing it. You know, he's a good looking guy, but you know, he's doing the Instagram thing. He's meeting chicks, getting their Instagrams, and he's posting like very simple stuff. He's posting him like meal prepping his food and shit. Like posting reels. So he's popping up on girls' feeds constantly and he's just tearing up pussy. You know, this is a really like it is a thing that anyone can do. Like any guy watching this video, you know, you can go on Instagram and just post reels of you talking. It doesn't matter what it is. You know, we could turn this whole podcast into a fucking reel. Like anything can be content on Instagram.
Yeah, absolutely. You weren't here when I said this, but this is super relevant to what I was saying about perfection and that stopping me from evolving. But yeah, very enlightening stuff you're saying, especially about studying those who are actually going viral. Like imagine a normal person going viral. Like for me, I post a few reels and some of them go super viral. Finally, there's one particular reel that I really wanted to take off. Got over 700,000 views in a few days. So it starts to work. But before I went into being even conceiving this well, it's not that it would be impossible. It's just that I didn't really do anything that would facilitate that to actually happen in the first place. But yeah, anyway,
Well, it goes back to
gotta-
that whole thing that true artists ship, right? Like at a certain point, you just got to accept it. Like, okay, just like, okay, I can approach and it not be perfect and it can work. Same thing with the content. Like everything that I post, I'm like, oh, I could probably still tweak that. But you know what? At a certain point, you just have to be like, all right, this is good enough. People see it. If they criticize that, then that's on them. But like most of the time, the things that we're most worried about as dudes being judged for, people don't even fucking notice they don't care about. So yeah, just hit the fucking post button. And if something really sucks, whatever, you can take it down later. But the odds are it's gonna be fine.
100%. Alrighty, guys, let's leave it there. Justin came at the end. Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule, Justin. I know Tim Hortons is busy this time of year.
Yeah, dude, super busy.
Here we go. We got to do a Canadian panel at some point with me, you, Devin, Eric von Markovic Mystery, and who else is out there? Madison and Zamparian and so on. But yeah, let's draw it to a close. Thanks, guys, for joining. This is actually pretty crazy that every single panelist has stayed for more than 3 hours. I'm not sure if that's a first, maybe one of the few instances for sure, because normally someone got to go like 1 or 2 hours in, but every single one of you guys has been here, apart from Justin, for 3 solid fucking hours. Justin showed up at the end. At least he showed up. That's all good. But that's just insane. So a lot of dedication there. Catch you guys on the other side. Guinea Pig Global. Can't remember what else we can fucking say, but how the fuck do I end this again? I'm becoming a fucking boomer. Alrighty, catch you guys on the other side. Thanks for joining.
Later, boys.
Thank you
See you
guys.
guys. Much love.
Have a
Take
good
care.
one. Nice to meet you guys.
Peace, guys.